OTB, who's this?
OTB Race Companion, episode number 1, Anaheim, California.
OTB.
Hi, welcome to the Over the Bars podcast. If this is your first time joining us, thanks a bunch for coming in. My name is Jeff Crutcher. I'm with my co-host, Mike Garrison, and Mike's going to join us here in a second. We're going to jump right into the call of the races from round 1 of the Monster Energy Supercross Series. We did the Race Companion podcast live on Facebook.com/overthebars fb.com/OTB podcast. So every weekend with the Supercross races, we're going to be doing these Race Companion podcasts, and we are airing them live on Facebook, so you can listen to us and watch on Fox Sports 1. And then you can go back midweek and listen to the actual podcast itself right here on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever it is that you listen to your podcast. You should be able to find us. This is something that we've wanted to do for a really long time, and it's really cool to see it come into fruition. And I think that Mike and I mean, not to toot my own horn, but I feel like we did a really good job for this being our first podcast or our first live airing of anything. So you'll notice that there will be a couple parts that are chopped up. For instance, whenever we take a step back and watch the Fox Sports 1 broadcast, there will be times whenever it kind of jumps forward, because what we're doing is we're listening to the announcers on TV interview Shane McElrath, Aaron Plessinger, so on and so forth. So we can't include that audio. Sure, we'd love to, but that's owned by Fox, and we don't have the rights to that. So with that being said, this is OTB Race Companion, episode number 1. Thanks to our sponsors, Donnell's Motorcycles, Bikeworks LLC, Dart Town Arena, and Bar to Bar MX. Check them out. Check them out on Google, Facebook, whatever. And then also thank you to our Patreon subscribers. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon subscriber, go to patreon.com/overthebars. And there you'll be able to find ways that you can buy into our podcast. And a simple $5 pledge gets you a sticker kit, and then $10 pledges get you sticker kits mailed every month. $15 pledges get you sticker kits plus customized sticker kits. And every once in a while, we'll throw in like a free t-shirt, or last month for December, we did free dog tags. We sent that out as our thank you present. And I think they turned out pretty cool. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start the show. It's going to jump right into Mike starting with the first 250SX West qualifier number 1. And if you're into what we're doing here, check out our Patreon page, throw us a couple bones, share us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram at Instagram. Over.the.bars is our Instagram handle. So again, thanks. I'm Jeff Crutcher. We'll see you next week in Houston.
30-second board is sideways, looking for that gate to drop. And we are off and underway. Monster Energy Supercross. Into the first turn they go. Looks like out of turn number 1, that's going to be McElrath with the early hole shot in this one. Diving to the inside, there's Adam C. and Cirillo right there with him as well. Through the rhythm section they go. In the number 3 spot, the 23 of Aaron Plessinger.
I really like Plessinger's bike. It seems to be working pretty good for him. I like the way that he had the bike set up and the way that he was flowing in practice earlier today.
Well, I tell you what, it looks like it's working for him right now as he works his way up into the number 2 spot. Shane McElrath still out front leading the way. Cian Cirillo in that number 3 spot. And Jeff, as you were talking about, the track still looking in prime condition even as racing gets underway here tonight. You can see the track all prepped, ready to go here for the heat races.
Well, yeah, this is the best that the track is going to be all night, and these guys are reaping the benefits of that, and they shouldn't be making any mistakes right now because of track issues. It's simply on them if there are any mistakes made.
Working their way back around here for lap number 1. Right now, it's going to be McElrath out front. There you see Plessinger in the number 2 spot, Cianciarulo in the 3, Harrison and Taft, your top 4. Melross in that number 9 and final transfer spot as they work their way back through that rhythm section once again. Here coming back around.
As we have 4.5 minutes, a little over 4.5 minutes left to go before they throw the white flag. And, in 2018 and 2017, we're now doing the timed races. And, this is an all-out sprint, and I think that we'll see some really fast lap times here from McElrath. McElrath actually won the 250SX West race at Anaheim last year, so this is no surprise to see him out front.
He's starting to put a little bit of a gap there on Plessinger, and now the two of them are starting to spread themselves out a bit on Cianciarulo. And as you can see, Plessinger starting to close that gap up just a bit as they work their way down the front stretch here in this one.
Top 9 qualify straight into the main, and it looks like our final qualifiers place right now. Wait for the thing to scroll around.
Cianciarulo right now dropping about 2 seconds back right now. Plessinger 0.9 of a second back. Oh, there you see Plessinger reaching for that triple section through the rhythm there. A lot of different lines. And as you can see, the fresh prep track, not quite the ruts in the corners yet for these guys. So they're sliding around a little bit more than we expect them to later on in the evening. There's Martin Davalos working his way up to the number. No, I take that back. That's Harrison. I'm used to Davalos running the number 30.
Yeah, there you will see a lot of rear wheel spin right now, but the dirt is so wet or cookie-like that really they point the bike anywhere that they want it to go, and the bike will go there.
Sexton right now trying to put the push on Harrison as they work their way up and over the triple. Sexton to the inside, going to try and make the move. Harrison closes the door and goes back wide, though. Up into the front straight. They go down the start straight now with 3 minutes, 5 seconds left to go before that white flag comes out. Sexton looking to the inside.
Yeah, these guys are some of the more aggressive younger riders that I wouldn't call rookies, but are definitely earlier in their career. And you can tell by the way that they ride, as you saw Sexton make a mistake there, that they are used to throwing it out a little bit harder than some of the veteran riders as far as just making mistakes and going for it, really.
Oh, and just about bumping bars there through the whoop section. Sexton now looks like these guys are almost playing around with one another. Coming up a bit short there for Harrison and Sexton. I tell you what, these guys got to be careful because as they're messing around with one another, they got guys closing up behind them. They're in the 4 and 5 spots right now. Look at Sexton, the drive through the whoop section here in this one.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's only 1.7 seconds between Taft, who's in 6th, and Sexton, who's in 5th. So these guys can't play around. And as we know in these heat races, anything can happen anytime they get together. As we look at the start here, it looks like, number 42 goes out wide. That's Dakota Alex from Vermont. That's a bad way to start his season.
As we get back into the race mode here, there's Sexton right there working his way up into the 5 spot, chasing down. I say he was chasing down Harrison, but I don't see Harrison in front of him. So during that replay, he may have gotten by. Things may have changed up here as they work their way around. Meanwhile, McElrath's still going to be out front. Plessinger in that number 2 spot. Cianciarulo in the 3. As they come back around right now. Minute 30 left to go before that white flag comes out here in this one.
Yeah, the top 3 guys have a pretty tight race. It's only 3 seconds separate first to third, but then there's quite a drop after Cianciarulo to Harrison, a total of a little over 7 seconds now. And here we look at, Sexton really has the scrub down, but then obviously Mitchell Harrison sets him up there.
That would be what happened right there.
Yeah, okay. Now that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, that's a pretty aggressive move, but like I said in the heat races, I mean, it is make or break, do or die, and you have to be aggressive about those kind of things because if you don't clean somebody else out, somebody might do it to you.
Well, and you were talking about the younger generation riders coming in a little more aggressive than some of the more veteran riders in the class, and that was a perfect example right there. Shane McElrath out front right now with a 1.5 second lead over Aaron Plesser in the number 2 spot. Adam Cianciarulo still in that number 3 spot as they work their way back around here once again through the rhythm section, up and over the big triple now.
Yeah, McElrath on the Troy Lee KTM obviously has his mojo down, and as you see, it's McElrath, Plessinger, Cianciarulo. Those are 3 very established names in the 250 class, and then Taft is a little less established, extremely talented rider, but you can tell the difference between the veterans and the newcomers.
Well, this is a great way for Bradley Taft to start off the 2018 season, as I don't think he quite had the season he was looking for in 2017. So sitting fourth here in heat number one, can't complain about that.
Yeah, the Missouri native McElrath just cleared the finish line with 3 seconds to go. So now we have 2 more laps remaining.
And you look over here at the lap times right now. Adam Cianciarulo on the track with a 53.1. That is 0.2 of a second faster than your leader's fast lap. So arguably right now, Adam Cianciarulo, the fastest man on the track. However, he's going to be 2.7 seconds out of the lead, sitting in the number 3 spot right now. So would you say right now, Jeff, he's probably just trying to play it easy? He's going to settle for the third, just make his way into the main. He wants no injuries, no problems, especially in the heat races here in this one.
I don't know. I think that he could easily want to make a statement to either one of these riders, as McElrath makes quite the bobble there. These guys are going to be racing each other for the remainder of their lives, but this weekend especially, or this series especially, there's a lot at stake, and I believe that every opportunity to pass someone in front of you, especially your main competition, is a feather in their cap.
Well, we've got 1 lap left to go right now. The distance between them, 1.1 seconds. Cianciarulo gained about 0.4 of a second on Plessinger last time by. Plessinger through the whoop section. Plessinger using that height to his advantage. Oh, mistake there at the end of the whoop section, though. And here comes Adam Cianciarulo. We were just talking about this, Jeff. Here comes the chance right now. Cianciarulo going to dive to that inside. Can he make it happen? This is where we saw Sexton get together with Harrison. And Cianciarulo gets on by now up into the number 2 spot.
Yeah, he really used proper riding technique there. You could tell that Adam really pushed down on the outside of his peg in that flat corner, and that kept the bike tracking, whereas Aaron's rear wheel started to break loose. I don't think he was pushing down quite as hard on the outside peg.
Now, with less than half a lap to go right now, is Plessinger going to try and remount as he makes a little bit of mistake there, coming up a bit short in the rhythm section, trying to close the back up on Cianciarulo. Lap traffic going to get in the way, and this is going to do it. Here comes that checkered flag. Shane McElrath, your winner, 250 heat number 1 to kick off the Monster Energy Supercross Series here for 2018. Cianciarulo coming in the number 2 spot, Plessinger in that number 3 spot.
Yeah, that definitely wasn't a very eventful race. Obviously, the contact between Sexton and Mitchell Harrison, but nothing about that race really surprised me. So as we go through the live timing, it was McElrath, Cianciarulo, Plessinger, Taft, Melross, Sexton, Heft, Alex, and Ryan Brees are the guys that are going to go straight in. And looks like Noah McConaughey just barely missed out with a pretty small gap. And so now those guys will regroup and go into the LCQ here coming up in a little bit.
So still at the finish of that race, still Adam Cianciarulo with the fastest lap on the track there in that one. Sexton worked his way back up into 6th after going down, and Harrison finishes... Harrison?
Yeah, it appears he didn't get back up and finish the race.
No, he did not. So Harrison going to be in our last chance qualifier as well. He did not.
No, he DNF'd indeed. So I'm actually kind of... So let's just say, talk about some of the guys that didn't qualify here. So Bracken Hall, Killian Oberson, Ryan Surratt. And Ryan Surratt's national number 77. I actually expected a little more out of him, but I don't know if he's injured or what right now, but he had a pretty bad day in time qualifying earlier. Bryce Stewart, California local guy. Then we have a couple other names, Kelly Russell and Julio Zambrano. I've never seen that name before, but good to have him here. And then Chase Marquier, looks like he had a pretty bad race and was down a lap. And then amateur sensation Gage Scherer is the last rider to finish, actually finished the race. Mitchell Harrison DNF'd.
Let's take a look here. Where did Dakota Alex finish after his mishap off the start on that one?
8th.
He made it.
Yeah.
So Dakota Alex, after his first lap mishap, makes his way back up to 8th.
And I think that's a good ride for him. I mean, now he's started his season off well, and he's into the main event. I mean, that's obviously goal number 1, get into the main. Second to that is, perform in the main, but you can't perform in the main until you've qualified for it. So, sure, I mean, everybody always wishes, hey, I wish I would have won that race, but the truth of the matter is that it's just good to make it in. That's the first step.
Now, looking at the first turn tonight, how crucial do you think gate pick is going to be for a lot of these guys?
It's very crucial. Stand by.
Very crucial, standing by. Meanwhile, that was a fantastic race. As Jeff stated, not quite as exciting as we had maybe necessarily hoped. Some a little bit of contact here and there, but Shane McElrath taking the win, Aaron heat number 1, along with Adam Cianciarulo working his way up in the number 2 spot. Plessinger in that 3 spot, getting set here for heat number 2 here in just a few minutes. Once again, we want to thank everybody for tuning in here to the OTB Podcast Race Companion. If you're just now tuning in, we welcome you. We want to thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like and share. I am Mike Garrison alongside me here with Jeff Crutcher. We'll be doing all the race calling and race analysis here for the Monster Energy Supercross Series.
Yeah, if you want to do us a huge favor, just simply push the share button. That's the best way to get the OTB Race Companion out. Obviously, we can talk about it on Vital and we can talk about it on Facebook, but the truth of the matter is that we must have the shares. That's the most important thing. So simply share the button, keep commenting, keep liking. We appreciate you watching. And obviously, this is the first of what it is. And as far as we know, nobody has ever done a live companion with the races. So yeah, tune into FS1 and watch. And then at home, you can fire up your Bluetooth or your aux cable and plug in your computer or your iPad or iPhone, Android, whatever it is that you're watching us on. Just plug that into your speaker set, and then you can watch the races in live time and then hear us talk about the races in live time. And we're happy, we're happy to bring together a core audience, something that will really appeal to those that already race. And we understand, listen, we love watching Ralph and Jeff and listening to them. They're true professionals, but they cater to, I'm not going to say the lowest common denominator, but the thing is they have to announce to the newer fans of Supercross. So obviously, that's not our group. We are a core motocross podcast, and so we have the capability of calling the races how we see it from our eyes. So it looks like McElrath's on TV now. He's going to talk about the race. So if you want to turn the volume up, we'll step aside for a second.
All right, looks like now we're getting set to go for heat number 2. For our 250 class, we saw a pretty exciting heat number 1. In this one, of course, we've got the defending champion, the number 1 of Justin Hill on the line. One of the few Suzuki riders out there here in this one. Getting set to go here. Ricky Carmichael giving a little bit of analysis here on the track as well, as we talked about. Now, Jeff, how much do you think that the track has changed from heat 1 to heat 2 as we work our way into this one?
Very little. If anything, the track will actually be better because of the amount of broken in lines. Now there will be cushions in some of the corners. There will be some developing ruts, and it will be. I think the lap times will probably be about a second shorter in this race than they will in the next. Now the question is, will they go the same amount of laps?
That's a very good question. And as we were talking about the only Suzuki rider out there in this, we got 2 Suzuki sitting side by side here in this one. Justin Hill, of course, on that Auto Trader Suzuki, running the O'Neill gear this year. Getting set to go here with this one. Shane McElrath taking the win in that last one. Getting fired up to go for this one. Again, this is a 6-minute race plus 1 lap. Your top 9 riders going to the main event. No semis in the 250 or 450 classes this year. Of course, last year we didn't have them in the 250, but we did have them in the 450. A little bit different format. And of course, later on this season, we'll see that triple crown format. So on the line right now here in this, we got Hill, Savacci, Oldenburg, Craig, Cooper, Martin, Chisholm, Nicoletti, Starling, Gardner, and a list of other top riders here in this one. That 30-second board is up.
I'm curious to see how Talon LaFontaine's start goes because he's on the same bike as the other JGR Suzukis.
Well, we're looking for that gate to drop. There it goes. A couple riders look like they're trying to jump the gate just a bit. Into the first turn they go. We'll see who grabs that hole shot. Looking to the inside right now, it is going to be Craig with that early hole shot. The 32 Geico Honda rider grabbing the early lead in this one. The 26 of Alex Martin in that number 2 spot, followed up by the 52 of Oldenburg. Oldenburg looking for the inside right away. They're making an aggressive move. Pushes him off the track. So Martin goes off the track. Wow, what a move right there, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm actually pretty disappointed for Hill. He started 10th, so he's actually outside of the top 10, and he's in 10th and not even in qualifying spot yet.
Well, and who we see right now, though, in that number 4 spot, the 17 of Savacci, and there following him is the 54 machine as they work their way around Savacci. I tell you what, some aggressive riding right out of the gate here in heat number 2.
Well, I think that's nothing to be surprised by. This is the 250 class, and we do see a little more aggressive riding between these younger riders.
As they work their way back around right now, Christian Craig going to be out front, lead the way. Alex Martin, the number 2 spot. Oldenburg in the 3. Savacci in the 4. Nicoletti sitting in the number 5. Of course, Nicoletti, teammate of the defending champion right now, the number 1 of Justin Hill. Hill buried in the field, as Jeff was talking about. A little different line there through that rhythm section for Savacci and Oldenburg.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Brandon Leith, I believe that this is his first Supercross. He was the rider that was in front of Hill and Starling, and it looks like both Hill and Starling have passed Brandon Leith into qualifying spot.
And Oldenburg almost looked like he just pulled over right there to let Savacci. And look at this. Savacci, no fight whatsoever out of Oldenburg. What do you think the deal is there with that? Savacci just going right on by.
Well, Savacci's a known aggressive rider, and I think Oldenburg just wants no part of it. And if Oldenburg's going to be able to beat him straight up, then he wouldn't have done that. But I think that Savacci has his number.
And at this point, if you're Oldenburg and you think Savacci may be a little bit faster, is it to your benefit to let Savacci go by, try to latch onto him, maybe learn a thing or two here in this heat race that you can use against him in the main event?
Perhaps. I mean, I don't think that there's any lines that Savacci's going to be doing. This is a fairly simple track, and this is something that has been a hot topic throughout the year. Looks like we have a down rider, but the tracks are going to be a little bit smoother, perhaps a little easier, and the first race of the year is always known to have an easier track because we can't have our riders getting hurt at the first round of the series.
Absolutely, and there we see Justin Hill as he works his way now up into the number 6 spot, chasing down his teammate Phil Nicoletti in the number 5 spot. So Hill now up into a transfer position here in this one as he works his way around. Craig's still going to be out front. Let's take a replay here. This is Hill. And, the 62, that's Cooper going down there in that one. I thought Hill was going to maybe get caught up in that. So Cooper, the 62 machine, a little bit of tough luck off the start here in this one.
Yeah, you'll notice that the tops of the berms are a little bit higher this year than they have been in previous years, and the guys are used to those 3.5 foot tall berms, and that top foot or so is a little bit looser than normal as we see Justin Hill passes his JGR Suzuki teammate Phil Nicoletti.
So Justin Hill now working his way up to the number 5 spot. He's still going to be 6.3 seconds out of the lead. And here, right now, the battle is going to be between Savacci and Alex Martin. Alex Martin, the number 26 machine on that Troy Lee KTM. On the right-hand side, they go Savacci. And there you see just ahead of him the Geico Honda of Christian Craig. Savacci really putting it down here in this one as they're working their way around. Savacci holding the fast lap right now with a 54.3. And Savacci now up into the number 2 spot.
I'm actually rather impressed with Alex Martin, who is not necessarily a favorite in Supercross or hasn't been previously. So for him to be, run this pace for this long is definitely a good note for him.
Well, Martin, it looked like made a little mistake there, over jumping the triple just a bit, going a bit wide. Savacci with a little bit of breathing room now as he works his way through that rhythm section, airing out through there, closing the gap up on Christian Craig. I'll be curious to see this time around when they hit that timing and scoring line where they're going to be apart, because I got a feeling Savacci has gained significant time this lap around.
Well, I think that he's honestly, I think Savacci's a better Supercross rider than Christian Craig, even though Christian Craig is a Supercross style rider. I think that Savacci is willing to hang it out a little bit further than Christian Craig may be.
Well, that last time by, it looked like a 54.8 for Craig and a 54.4 for Savacci. So, about 0.4 of a second for Savacci that last time by, with a minute 25 left before they start waving. Then that white flag back around onto the start stretch they go right now.
Yeah, that the section before the start straight, I noticed, especially in time qualifying, how far the riders were over jumping the triple coming out of that, and it seems to be that it's the jump face is pretty large, but the distance of it doesn't match up with the height of the face.
Well, Jeff, we were just seeing there, you could see some of the jumps, especially right out of the first turn, already started to deteriorate, some of the ruts forming and things like that. One part of the track I've noticed hasn't deteriorated yet is the whoop section. Is it going to hold up tonight?
No, I don't believe that it will. I think that the maintenance will be minimal in the whoops, and we will see old school style Supercross whoops where you'll have one line formed down the middle. But again, this dirt is so atypical for Anaheim, California.
And look at him up and over the triple now. Savacci has closed the gap up less than half a second back from Christian Craig. It's a drag race down the front straight now. Savacci pulling a tear off, looking to the inside. Here they come back into that rhythm section. Savacci doubles in, a little different line here. Savacci going to dive to the inside on Craig. Not quite close enough, but Craig now, he knows he's there. Will Craig go into defense mode here on this one?
Perhaps. They have 2 laps left, and I think that the two of them, these guys are going to be competing for the next however many races there are, and so again, it is looks like the white flag's going to come out just in time, so it's not 2 to go, 1 lap remaining.
Savatgy right now trying to close that gap up. Looks like Craig, that last lap there, got a little bit about a bike length on him right now through the whoop section. There you go. You see two different lines right now through the whoop section, but as you were saying, as those whoops start deteriorating, it's probably going to come down to one fast line through the whoop section later on this evening.
And the thing you have to keep in mind about that main line is, sure, a couple of them may be beat down, but you're always guaranteed to have a couple of them get extremely cupped out and kick the rider. So it really, although it may be faster for most of the part, it's also a bit of a roll of the dice.
That's very true. That's very true. And right now, Alex Martin has dropped 5.5 seconds back. Oldenburg still in the number 4 spot. Hill in the 5 spot here in this one. We've got Nicoletti, Chisholm, Starling, and Leith going to be your top 9 right now. One final time through the whoop section. They got lap traffic to deal with. Craig protecting that inside. Checkered flag. Christian Craig going to take the win here in heat number 2. Joey Savatgy taking second. Oh, big mistake there for Martin as they come across the line. That's going to be Oldenburg jumping up into the number 3 spot. So Martin just about losing the front end there, and Hill going to finish in the top 5 here in this one.
Well, that wasn't the difference between qualifying and not qualifying, but it is a gate pick spot. And something to keep in mind is, okay, if arbitrary number, let's say you get a first and then the guy behind you gets second, because there are 2 heats, the guy that finishes behind you will have an additional spot between you and him. So, I mean, by all means, that's as good as 2 gate picks, essentially, to pass one rider going into the main.
You know, something I just noticed right there as they came off the track and the officials stopped the riders from crossing the track there. Savatgy pulled the goggles off. Did you notice Christian Craig? He looked like maybe the head was down on the bars, maybe a little more winded than Savatgy after that one. Maybe a little harder on him than Savatgy.
Perhaps. Craig's never been a rider that has been known for his stamina or his training. Now, that's not to say that he doesn't have, good conditioning, because obviously he'd make you or I look pedestrian. But in comparison, whenever you scale him next to the other riders on the track, and obviously we know that Savatgy trains with Jeannie Carmichael, who is very militant about the training program. I would say that of all the riders on the track in the 250SX West, I would say that Savatgy probably has the best conditioning.
Now, if you're one of these riders, if you're a little on the edge with your training and your stamina, does a timed race play more into your favor, or does a lap race play into your favor?
I would say that in the 250 class, it probably plays into favor because it's 15 minutes plus a lap. And that's almost 5 laps shorter than the 450 class. And plus, we're talking about bikes that don't have as much torque. So the bikes don't pull as hard out of the corners. So, yeah, I mean, it does require more momentum and a little bit more finesse. But in my opinion, the 250s are easier to ride, and you could for sure get a little bit further with lesser conditioning. Now, I guess it depends on how deep your talent is.
That's true. That's true.
I mean, it's that's kind of a dicey one to just make a definitive opinion on.
That's true. Well, coming up next, we got our 450 class. Our 450 heat number 1, obviously going to be an exciting one. Who is going to be your pick heading into the 450 heats to top this one?
Well, okay, so I believe that let's look at the 450 qualifying. Okay, so I'm just going to list off the top 10 here. So in order, it went Roxon, Tomac, Barsha, Anderson, Muscan, Seeley, Brayton, Wilson, Webb, Martin, Tickle, and Baggett. Okay, so I went actually 12 there. Now, my favorite, I'm sorry, where did I know I said Bogle's. Did I say Bogle's name? I don't even see him on here.
No, but while you're looking for him, how about Chad Reed, 20th?
Well, he's riding with a hurt foot.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
so
true.
I mean,
that is true.
And he stated whenever he came into the race,
that is true.
We made it here. Goal number 1 is achieved. Making it into the main. Goal number 2. Try to take. I mean, he can only go so far whenever he's hurt.
That is true.
So, yeah, I actually picked Bogle to be a really big threat, but it appears that I don't know. I don't know if this is wrong or if I missed out on something. But hey, let's say hello to a bunch of our a bunch of our Facebook Live subscribers. Looks like we have 47 people watching right now, which is huge. That's awesome. So let's just give a shout out to some of our watchers: Parker Berg, Alan Larson, Alex Chestnut, Jake Phillips, Bobby Clift. We appreciate you watching, and we hope that you're enjoying the live broadcast. So let's listen to Christian Craig here.
All right, looks like Christian Craig off the podium now. So yeah, we head over here to our Facebook. Get my mouse back over here. All sorts of people joining in. We got Nate Pierce joining us. Of course, Robin. Hey, Robin. We got Corey Hip out there. Sarah Ball joining us. Jack Steele. Amy Richardson.
Thank you, Corey Hip. Bogle is out. Also, let's take a quick second while Juliana's going on. Okay, so if you are new to the Over the Bars podcast, we have 4 sponsors of the show, and that's Donnell's Motorcycles, which is a Honda, Suzuki, Beta, CF Moto dealership here in the Kansas City area. Also, we have Bar to Bar MX, which is one of the best tracks in the Midwest, located in Wichita, Kansas. We have, Nick Peterson's Bikeworks LLC. Nick provides professional touch to the motorcycle. He is a pro racer himself and a very learned mechanic that. Whenever I have a problem, I call Nick. And then we also have Dart Town Arena out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. So imagine halfway between Nerf guns and paintballs indoors. So Corey Hip, who's one of our Patreon subscribers, has linked us up with Dart Town Arena. So if you live around the Chattanooga area, check out Dart Town Arena. And obviously, this is a good time to talk about our Patreon subscribers. If you're interested in becoming a subscriber to the Patreon or to the Over the Bars podcast, go to Patreon. That's patreon.com/overthebars. And there you can find out ways to get hooked up with cool custom sticker packs, T-shirts. We did dog tags as our Christmas send out for all of our Patreon pledges. So if you're into what we're doing and you want to help continue grow what it is that we're doing, go to patreon.com/overthebars and pledge today.
So looking over here, we got quite a few people asking some questions. We got, I just missed it, but somebody was asking, we were talking about Chad Reed. How do you think Chad Reed,
well, we'll
come back to that. Yeah. We'll come back to that. We are about to find out here. Let's get our live timing back up and going as well.
It appears that Reed lined up as the 10th seed into heat number 1 in the 450 class here.
So that 30-second board goes sideways. Getting set to go heat number 1, our 450 class, looking for the gate to drop off and underway. Into the first turn they go. Who's going to grab the whole shot? Look at everybody bunch. Oh, all sorts of collision there into the first turn. Carnage out of this one. It is going to be the number 4 of Blake Baggett on that Rocky Mountain KTM, grabbing the whole shot. Of course, Jason Anderson in the number 2 spot.
Absolutely no surprise that Baggett takes the whole shot. Also no surprise that Anderson is right there behind him. Both of these riders training very hard and very seriously coming into the 18 Supercross Series.
Of course, we got Cole Seeley, the number 14 rider, in that number 3 spot on the HRC Honda. Ken Roxon's teammate, followed up by Martin on the number 6 machine as they come around here for lap number 1. So Blake Baggett, of course, he put on quite a show in the outdoor series as well. He's all healed up as far as we know from the thumb injury. He's back at it now, and Anderson in that number 2 spot. Seeley in the number 3, and number 3, your top 3 right now already starting to spread out. Baggett looking over his shoulder there, and Anderson up and over the big triple they go.
And let's talk about Ben LeMay sitting in 7th place right now, who was one of the Amsoil Arena Cross contenders for the championship last year, is now in 7th. So that gives you an idea of how deep things are in the Arena Cross series.
Oh, and look at Anderson right now. Anderson looking for an inside line on Baggett as he goes for the triple there. Anderson already showing him a wheel up into the number 1 spot now for that Rockstar Husky. But here comes Cole Seeley. Cole Seeley out of nowhere dives to the inside on Anderson now. And of course, Anderson and Seeley have quite a history of their own. And Seeley now up into the number 1 spot. Oh, Seeley coming across the whoop section there, and that one on Anderson.
Yeah, things could get dirty pretty quickly here between both of these guys. They're extremely passionate, but if they don't quit playing around, Baggett's going to take the lead again.
And here comes back Anderson with a terrible drive through the whoop section. Now look at this, 3 wide. Seeley now up into the number 1 spot. Anderson drops to 2nd. Oh, over the bars into the triple section. That was the 15 of Wilson. Wilson clipping that and going over the bars in fourth.
Yeah, he got caught up paying attention to the three guys in front of him racing so tightly, and I think that he just missed his mark, and it almost looked as if he hit a false neutral.
It's very possible right now, though. Cole Seeley has stretched out his lead a bit here in this one. Anderson in second, Baggett in third. You know, we talked about earlier the aggression of the 250 class. I did not expect to see this right out of the gate here in Heat 1 of the 450 class. I got to be honest with you.
Well, how about that? Seeley falls over just as we talk about him. Yeah, hopefully he can keep the bike running there, and he's going to be out of qualifying spot, and up comes Tomac finally. I almost forgot that he was in the race.
Unbelievable. I didn't even, like you say, it slipped my mind at this point that Eli Tomac was even in this one, but now he's going to find himself in the number 3 spot. Of course, Eli Tomac, the runner-up for last year with Ryan Dungey's epic battle for that championship title. So Anderson out front now. Blake Baggett in the number 2 spot. Tomac in third. Vince Freese up into the number 4 spot, and Seeley will drop to 5th.
No surprises. Vince Freese is a known good starter as he comes on the Moto Concepts Honda team, which has Tony Alessi as the manager, and who obviously has trained his kids very good in starting. So let's take a look again. Yeah, Wilson just got it wrong, and he had 3 guys right in front of him. I think he was more concerned with the riders in front of him than he was over his own race.
That's a tough break for Wilson there. It looked like maybe he was holding that shoulder. Hopefully he'll get back up on the bike. We'll see if we see him in the last chance qualifier in the main, but that was a hard hit there for Wilson.
Yeah, and make no mistake about it, this dirt definitely is hard. It may be cookie-like, but it is a hard base dirt.
Well, there's Eli Tomac working his way around right now. 3.2 seconds back from Anderson, 1.6 seconds back from Baggett as he works his way up and over the triple now. Diving to the inside there, you see Baggett. So Anderson starting to stretch it out just a little bit with 2:15 left to go in this one. Ooh, Seeley putting the wheel there on Freeze. Now Seeley now back up into the number 4 spot. Vince dropping the number 5 spot here on the 55 machine.
As we were talking about Chad Reed, he sets in 7th currently, which is a qualifying position, and I think that he would be happy with that considering the condition of his injured foot. I mean, really, he wasn't even supposed to be here this weekend. Whenever he hurt that foot, the doctor told him 14 weeks, and that was 10 weeks out of this race.
Well, you said goal 1 for him was to make it to the race. He made it. Goal 2 was to make the main, and right now he's looking to do that.
This race has also collected 3 riders that are out of the race already, which is more than we saw any DNFs in the 250 classes, which is kind of surprising, actually. I think that rhythm section right there before that triple it may need a little bit of I don't know, a lip change or the backside of that jump could be straightened out a little bit. It's kind of rather an aggressive downside for the short face.
Well, as they work their way around right now, fastest lap on the track going to be your leader with a 53.1 of Jason Anderson. Blake Baggett in that number 2 spot. Tomac slowly closing that gap up on Baggett right now as they work their way back around here with 1 minute left to go before that white flag comes out here in this one.
Ben LeMay still holding on to 6th, and Benny Bloss has moved up into qualifying position. He's now in 7th, and he passed Chad Reed. Our final qualifier spot is Jeremy Martin with Adam Enicknap pretty close behind him.
So Jeremy Martin, he was one we just saw him up front. I did not see if something happened to Martin or if he just dropped back that far.
Well, anything can happen at these races, especially in these short time heat races. They're so intense and so all out that one small mistake and you've got a whole freight train of riders directly behind you that are foaming at the mouth.
Well, and it could have even been something with Wilson going down. I mean, obviously that's going to throw off. There was quite a group behind him as well, so that's going to throw things into the mix as well. Look at Tomac as he closes up alongside Baggett now. He's going to try and make a move on. 10 seconds left on the clock before they come around. I believe this is going to be the white flag this time around. It's going to be close whether they get the free one or not, and they're going to get it, so they're going to go 2 more. Up and over the finish line they go. Tomac now up into the number 2 spot. Baggett drops to 3rd. Anderson still out front here in this one.
Anderson really seems to be connecting with that factory edition Husky that was just released this year. And as you saw on the right side of the screen, how he did that section, you notice how whenever he lands off the first double, that he's actually landing rear wheel first and is almost doing like a front wheel placement into the face of that second double. And in time qualifying, I believe that was actually a triple, and then the last roller was much, much smaller, but it seems that they shaped that into a triple now, a double-double now.
Well, as they work their way around right now, Anderson going to be grabbing the white flag this time around as he works his way through the whip section. As you can see, Jeff, a lot more lines starting to form, and it looks to me like off to that right-hand side of the whip section seems to be the main line these guys are starting to take. But we're also seeing a little bit of some shiny spots, it looks like, as the moisture is starting to come up just a bit.
Well, there's no surprise about that. That's as we talked about earlier in the pre-race, that this track is going to get wet. There will be shiny spots, slick spots. There will be places where the front wheel will be tend to tuck. Anderson obviously getting a good drive out of that flat-handed corner. I noticed how he went wide and Tomac behind him took the inside rut, and I don't know which one is the better line right now. Probably just depends on bike setup and tire choice.
Well, that last time by, Tomac had set a new fast lap of this race with a 52.7. The only rider to get into this one into the 52-second lap range. Everybody else in the 53 or slower as they work their way around here. Final lap for Jason Anderson, looking for a heat race win here in Anaheim, and he's got it. Jason Anderson, your winner, heat race number 1, our 450 class. Eli Tomac going to be coming around for that number 2 spot. Blake Baggett will secure the number 3 spot.
I would say that Anderson has a lot going. He's got a new gear deal. He's on a new bike, and he's got his trainer and good people around him at all time. And I think we're starting to see that second year of being at the Baker's factory. It really shined through, and I think that he's going to be a heavy favorite in this series this year. Obviously, a lot has been put on the shoulders of Musquin. Whoever wins the series this year will be a first-time champion. So that's very exciting is knowing that no matter who wins, it's going to be a new name with the number 1 plate coming into next year. And I don't remember the last time that we had a Supercross series without a number 1 plate starting, period.
That's true.
So, again, it's, there are, between Roxon, Tomac, Barsha, Anderson, Musquin, Seeley, Brayton, Wilson, Webb, Martin, Tickle, Baggett, even Josh Grant, you go further down into Chad Reed. There are 15 riders that could easily win any given Saturday night.
You're absolutely right. As we look at our results there from that last one, looks like Benny Bloss dropping out of the picture in that one. So your top 9 out of heat number 1 was Jason Anderson, Eli Tomac, Blake Baggett, Cole Seeley, Vince Freeze, Jeremy Martin, Ben LeMay, Chad Reed, and Adam Intignap making that final spot. Dakota Tedder just missing out, so he'll be headed to the LCQ for our 450 class.
So let's talk about last year really quickly. So obviously, Ryan Dungey was in the races last year, and he's since retired. But the 450 SX main, the top 5 were Roxon, Dungey, Musquin, Anderson, Seeley, and then Tomac in 6th, Millsaps in 7th, Pike, Grant, Webb, Weimer, so on down. I think that the top 10 guys in this race, obviously we're missing Millsaps and Dungey. You could put all those names into a tumbler, shake it up, and that'll give you about as accurate of a prediction of who will win tonight, because really anything could happen. Obviously, we've got a tight left-handed first corner. The whoops are starting to get cupped out. The track has proven to be treacherous, as we saw Dean Wilson go down. Things are going to continue to be dicey, and it will only progress. Obviously, the first race is going to be, or the first main will be an absolute barn burner. Easily 10 different guys that could win given, circumstance or whatever.
When you've got Cooper Webb. That's another one that wasn't in the top 10 last year. That could easily be, a top 10 or even a winner, out of nowhere. We'll see. He's coming up here, I believe, this next heat race. We'll see how that shakes out.
And also, let's bring up that Baggett was 14th last year at Angel Stadium for the first round. And his best finish, let's see, after that, he was 20th at Petco Park the following weekend. And it appears that he got 10th. So Baggett, obviously, last year probably was not a favorite name coming in, even though he's national number 4. I think that coming into this year, after having time off from the outdoors, he probably has a lot of fresh wind in his sails.
I would say I would definitely agree with that for sure.
Well, this little green monster on the TV, that's quite the interesting guy. So let's go to FS1 and listen to Jason Anderson. You know what we could do?
Keeping an eye on that says you could be the champ. I think my starts. I don't feel like I'm going to be, the best guy every weekend. I feel like it's going to be my weekend, but you know what? I'm going to start up front and make it freaking hard on those guys. So I felt pretty good up there. Not like the best I felt. Obviously, Eli would catch me, but you know what? I'm going to pick up the pace and be out front again in that main and see where that puts me. So I'm excited to do some battle and hopefully come away with a win.
Did he look a little winded to you there?
I was actually just getting ready to say, I think everybody this first round, it's, obviously everybody's been training in the off season, but I think stamina may be an issue.
Well,
I think play a bigger part in this race than it's going to later on in the season.
More or less, I would say that it's just first race jitters. Really, it's the first race. Everybody has something to prove. There's so much on the line. And I would say less of, how do I say this? It's less about going out and showing what you've got and more of just making it through the first one. Because,
survival.
Right, exactly, because so much of Supercross is simply survival. So I noticed that Roxon there is actually running different gloves on each hand. See, the one on his left hand is a red glove. Now, maybe that's just to match his gear there. Probably not a specialty. I was thinking maybe he's wearing like some type of specialty glove on that left hand, but it appears the livery of his gear has the left hand in red, that's a pretty cool set of gear.
We were talking about earlier on, Roxon has a pretty unique ritual on the starting line of, the fist pumping and slamming his arms around and all that kind of stuff, which a lot of people have talked about. How do you handle that? If that's kind of your ritual, at this point, I don't think you're going to want to be punching the bars and all that.
No, I think that that'll be a new deal for him is kind of cooling down his ritual. And I think that was a thing of youth. And as Kenny ages, those kinds of things will start to mellow out. I mean, you look at like Chad Reed, for instance, or some of the other veterans, Justin Brayton. They simply sit there, get inside of their mind. They might hop up and down a little bit to get their heart rate flowing, but they're not doing, they're not punching their helmets and going a little bit of nutty.
Well, it looks like we're getting set to go here. Heat number 2. This could be the most anticipated race right now of the 2018 season as the return of Ken Roxon, the number 94 on the HRC Honda. On the line as well, we've got the 51 of Barsha, the 25 of Muscan, the 10 of Brayton, the 2 of Webb, the 20 of Tickle, the 69 of Bowers, Pike, Grant, and Cunningham, your top 10 picks here into this one. As the 30-second board is up, waiting to go, we're looking to see who's going to grab that whole shot, and obviously all eyes on the number 94 of Ken Roxon as we get set to go. Heat number 2, looking for the gate to drop, and we're off and underway. Into the first turn they go. It's going to be diving into the first turn first. Looks like it's going to be Marvin Muscan with the drive here in this one. Roxon buried in the field. So, no, it's going to be the 20 of Brock Tickle. Brock Tickle, Josh Grant, and Cooper Webb, 1, 2, and 3.
This is Tickle's first race on the new factory KTM, and I think that he has meshed well with the bike in the off-season.
Well, and as they come around, we were just talking about some of these underdog riders, as you might want to call them, and here they are leading this one out front in the way here in this one. Brock Tickle, Cooper Webb in the number 2 spot. There's Josh Grant, and there's Brayton. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right there, all riders that you necessarily wouldn't expect to be right up there, right off the front.
Well, no, I mean, maybe not, but on the other hand, like we just discussed, so many of these guys are capable of winning these races, especially the shorter heat races.
And Justin Marshall, the number 51 machine, he's in the number 5 spot right now. Of course, he qualified in that number 3 spot today as they're working their way around. And there you see, look at Ken Roxon. Roxon works his way by Muscan. Here comes Roxon driving around the outside. Roxon was buried in the pack on lap number 1. Takes a wide line there, Jeff, as he works his way into this rhythm section. Unique line there for the 94 Ken Roxon.
Yeah, he made pretty quick work of Bowers, an extremely talented rider, very technical rider, very brutish. I think that Roxon is just simply higher quality, higher skilled rider, and that's no surprise. Now let's see if Josh Grant can hold off the charge of Roxon.
So in one section of the track that I was wondering about with Roxon's, wow, look at Roxon. He's getting right in there. With his arm is obviously the whoop section. It's got, not only are you pulling on that arm tremendously, but you're going to be pushing on that arm as well. But he doesn't seem to be lacking any in the whoop section as he ran right up alongside Grant. Here he's coming from the outside line on him. Grant coming over on him. And Roxon right now trying to get by Grant to move his way up into the number 5 spot.
As Musquin passes Roxon there, in my opinion, I don't believe that Kenny would line up if he wasn't 110% capable of doing the job. So to look for a weakness out of that arm, it would be almost a little ignorant to expect him to have that weakness.
Well, there he goes, right on by Josh Grant now. Oh, no, in trouble there. That's Tickle. So your leader, Brock Tickle, the number 20, looks like he went over the berm. And Tickle off the track. He's coming back on the track now here in this one, but obviously there goes his heat race and shot at a heat race win to kick off Anaheim 1 here in this one. So Brayton now going to take over the lead. Barsha into second. Let's take a replay here.
Looks like he triples cleanly there and just got a little wide, landed on the tough block. Yeah, again, I've said this earlier, a lot of the obstacles are very easy to overjump tonight.
Wow, it looked to me right there like Webb and Roxon may have touched wheels as they come back around right now, working their way back around. It's going to be Brayton, Barsha, Roxon, and Webb. And Roxon right now. Whoa, Webb.
Okay.
Going for the kill right there. Here comes Musquin now. Now, if you're Roxon right now, and here comes Weston Pike, I tell you what, Roxon is under fire here in this one as he works his way through the rhythm section.
Well, he has the biggest name in the race right now, and I think that the rest of these riders are kind of, to be honest, sick of hearing about Ken Roxon and what he can do, and they take that hype that he has and kind of throw it back in his face by intentionally being overly aggressive with him and not letting him think that he's going to be the guy.
What a move right there for Justin Barsha as he works his way up into the lead. We talked about Barsha riding that factory Monster Energy Yamaha out front, leading the way now, getting by Brayton as Brayton Broad drops to the number 2 spot. Webb in the 3, Musquin in the 4, and Roxon's dropped back to the 5. And Barsha starting to spread out his lead just a little bit right now here in this one.
And something to take into consideration here, Mike, is that obviously the track is deteriorating far more than it was, 10 laps ago previously in the last race, and we can tell by the lap times. Barsha did just set a 52, but everyone else underneath him, we're talking 52, 54, 54, 54, and then into the 55s as they go down. This the track is definitely slowing down. Plus, these guys are racing so tightly together. I don't think they're able to really carry the speed needed to set fast lap times.
Well, and I haven't seen this kind of aggression out of Barsha. We haven't seen the Bam Bam of old for a while, but looks to me like Bam Bam may be back here in this race. Brayton in that number 2 spot. Good battle right now as Marvin Musquin in that gold edition Thor gear. The foil gold diving to the inside, looking to get by Cooper Webb. Webb protecting that inside line there for 3rd. Musquin goes a bit wide. Roxon hanging back in the number 5 spot right now. Looks like maybe Roxon maybe has dialed it back a bit. Just trying to stay steady, kind of regather. Oh, Musquin losing the rear end there. He looks over his shoulder.
He looked over his shoulder because he kind of dished some out to Roxon, and wouldn't be surprised to have him dish it back into him. And I don't really care for the gold foil. I think that's a pretty flashy move for Musquin, considering. And I understand that that's looks like Cooper Webb washed out his front end, like we were talking about earlier. The track is going to be dicey. The conditions are going to break down. We're going to see a lot of front end washing, and now both. Roxon and Musquin have passed them, and Roxon has passed Musquin and now sets in 3rd.
As they work their way around, 30 seconds left on the clock before that white flag. Whoa, Marvin Musquin grabbing a handful of throttle there into the triple section. So right now, Barsha out front. Brayton, he's got to be stoked about this ride as well, sitting in 2nd here in heat race number 2.
And he's putting on a really good showing that the Moto Concepts Honda team has a good package, has a good bike. He's got a good team behind him, and they are capable of winning. And I think that Justin is a great rider, a great veteran to show, hey, the MCR team is serious. We're here. And I mean, obviously, he's the first Honda, and he's in front of the most highly touted Honda rider on the planet right now.
So 2 laps left to go in this one. Barsha with a 4.5-second lead on Brayton. Roxon in that number 3 spot. Marvin Muscan in the 4. Weston Pike in the 5. We got Cooper Webb in the 6. Alex Ray in the 7. Cunningham in the 8. And Josh Grant in that final transfer spot. Brock Tickle, after leading this one and going off the track, making a bit of a mistake, he's back up to 10th, trying to close that gap up on Grant for the final transfer spot.
I'd like to say that, Kyle Cunningham is on that new HEP Motorsports Suzuki team along with Dustin Pipes and Henry Miller. Good showing for them to hopefully Cunningham can stick that Suzuki right into the main and get them their first main as a new team.
Less than 2 laps to go now, and you can see Brayton just ahead of Roxon there as they work their way onto that rhythm section on the far side of the track, up and over the triple. Now, as the track starts deteriorating, how are you going to adjust your bike going into the main, especially as the track starts getting a little bit looser on top, and to avoid that front end tuck? What sort of things are these guys going to be changing before the main event after a heat race like this?
Well, to be honest, I don't know that they would change a lot. It's more or less rider change is they're going to have to change the way that they sit on the bike, the way that they weight the outside pegs, line selection, and being generally intelligent about the lines that they take. You cannot come into a corner like this on the start straight and expect the bike to just stick like glue or Velcro. It's not going to work that way the further we get into the night. Sure, Dirtworks will come in and recomb that section, but then you're still talking about loose dirt sitting on top of hard dirt.
Well, as we're on our final lap here, our second, third, and fourth place riders all right there together now. Meanwhile, that checkered flag is out as Justin Barsha takes the win here in heat number 2 on that Monster Energy Yamaha. Coming around for the number 2 spot, going to be Justin Brayton. Roxon will take third. Marvin Muscan fourth. And it looks like rounding out your top 5 going to be Weston Pike. So, Jeff, he has done it. Roxon has gone straight to the main. Maybe not a heat race win, but against the odds, he's back and he's in the main.
I'm and great for him. I'm very happy for him. I'm glad to see that he overcame the arm injury. As we see, okay, he's back. He's in it. I think that he's really testing the waters and getting a feel for how that elbow and shoulder and arm, how that's going to hold up in race conditions. Because sure, yeah, you can go to the practice track and burn 20-minute motos all day, but whenever you have the other riders out on the track with you. It's funny. Okay, so this font that they're using here, that's a font that I use pretty regularly in this promo piece right here on the TV. And so as Mike, those that are watching, Mike and I both own sticker companies. Mine's Rip and Ruts. I do full motocross bike kits, and Mike's more centered around RC car sticker kits. And as designers, we see things all the time where it's like, oh, I know what that tool is. I know how they got to that look. Just random thought there, not necessarily related to the broadcast, but hey, it's our podcast. I'll talk about whatever I want. But yeah, no, it's listen, I'm most happy for Justin Barsha right now, and we know that Barsha and Roxon have had beef in the past, and I think that Barsha just put his money where his mouth is, and obviously, all the other riders are taking into consideration that, hey, Barsha's on this new Yamaha. It's serious. Obviously, he just won with it. Now the question is, can he go another 15 minutes?
That's very true. Now, your top 9 out of that one going directly in the main going to be Justin Barsha, Justin Brayton, Ken Roxon, Marvin Muscan, Weston Pike, Cooper Webb, Josh Grant, Kyle Cunningham, and squeezing by Alex Ray. Brock Tickle works his way back up to the 9 for a direct transfer. Coming up next, we're going to be seeing our last chance qualifiers. Looks like they're going to do a bit of track maintenance, and then we'll head into our 250 and 450 last chance qualifiers, followed up by an intermission, and then we head into our main events for tonight.
And just so everybody knows what our program is going to be like, first off, thank you to all of our viewers. We appreciate you coming in and watching. Tell your friends. Tell everybody about, the OTB podcast. Tell them to go to fb.com/OTB podcast, or you can simply push the share button. But just as an FYI, after the 250 LCQ and then the 450 LCQ, we have the intermission, which is about 25 minutes long or so, and we are going to go into a intermission also with us, kind of gather and just reset the live feed, because I know what will happen a lot of times is on these Facebook live feeds is that things will start to lag a little bit at the end of the feed. So we're going to reset the feed. And so simply, stay on the OTB podcast page. And then about 10 minutes before the 2:50 main is whenever we will come back on. So 8:50 West Coast time is whenever the main event is set to roll, and we will come back on the air 5 to 10 minutes before then, around 8:45, 8:40 West Coast time.
Well, I think it's been a pretty exciting start to the Supercross season. What's been your biggest surprise so far?
I don't know that anything's necessarily surprising. Maybe the intensity of the 450 races and how fast things are happening in those races. Your take?
To be honest with you, I'm along with everybody else. I think Ken Roxon was a surprise to me, but I think more than anything right now, I think I would have to say that Justin Barcia is the biggest surprise for me. Obviously, I know that Justin Barcia has the talent. We've seen him do it before, but it's been several years since we've seen Justin Barcia come out of the gate and really hold strong like he did there in that heat race, and he set the fastest lap. And it wasn't just one guy did this or this guy fell and this guy went by and that kind of thing. Justin Barcia straight up won that heat race, and I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with. I think he's got a lot on the line.
Absolutely, and I put Barcia as a contender for main event wins week in and week out. Now, obviously, as we talked about, he only has a five race deal with Monster Energy Yamaha. So how will they take that? How will he take that? What's his contingency plan once his ride is over? Because obviously Millsaps is going to come back. Millsaps wants his spot. So will they make room for him? Will someone else make room for him? We don't know. And I'm sure that, what I think would be the smart thing to do, especially after Barcia just won that race right there, which was probably a cool $20,000 in his pocket. I'd say that's two bikes and a parts allowance to get started for, whenever he loses his spot on the Yamaha team. So obviously he's got a lot of planning to do that needs to be in the back of his mind during the week, but then on the weekends, the only thing he needs to focus on is going out and taking it day by day, because like we just said, 5 race ride, it kind of limits your ability, which almost is maybe a bit of a luxury, honestly, because he doesn't know if he's going to be, even in contention for the entire championship. If he's paying out of pocket for every single race, it's after his 5 ride deal, then that's going to be on him. So let's listen to see what JP says here. Well, I think that, Justin just said there that the track's not so gnarly, which, yeah, absolutely. The track is shaping up, but however, it's the track itself is not the most technical, which again is, first race kind of standard operating procedure.
Now, the big question is going to be, as the season goes on, do the riders start to adapt better and better to the more technical and more challenging tracks, or is it still, at what point, I guess I should say, is it, wow, this track, we didn't see this one coming. This is a tough one.
Well, these are the most elite Supercross riders in the world, and they're here racing, Monster Energy Supercross for a reason. They deserve to be here. They've trained to be here. These are the guys that are training to be here. This is what they do. This is their job. Nothing that they should see at the Supercross races should be surprising or exciting or out of the ordinary, because every weekend they need to be prepared for whatever it is that the Dirtworks crew is going to throw at them. Now, however, obviously the track maps have been released. Everyone knows what the tracks are going to be, so there's no surprises again. Now, I think that Dirtworks is really taking into consideration this year rider safety and really being proactive about maintaining the transitions between the jumps, ensuring that everything is fair, that the racing surface is safe. And It's also good to see, Trey Kennard, after he's retired of racing professionally, that he's come in and acted as a liaison between the groupthink of the riders and then the promoters and the track builders. And he's saying, hey, buzz in the pits is this, because it's known that, the riders will say, hey, this transition sucks. It needs to be fixed. And then nothing ever happens. It never goes anywhere. Well, now that the riders have someone to represent them and take that in, Trey can take that into the show office and say, hey, I just talked to, X, Y, and Z riders, and they're saying that this section is actually, not just, obviously, it has to be filtered, because let's say that Chad Reed likes it really technical. Justin Barcia likes it more wide open. Now, if Barcia has a technical section that he's struggling with, he's going to lobby and say, hey, we need to flatten that section out. Reed's going to say, no, peak it up.
Sure.
So obviously Trey's been there, done that. He's impartial to either. He's not playing favorites. He's just looking for the best outcome of the night. But to get back to your initial question, do the riders have to adjust each weekend? Obviously, bike setup is different. The soil is different every round. Things are going to change, but like I said, these are the professionals. This is what they do. There should not be any mysteries going into any of the races, and all of these teams have been doing this for a long time.
You're no stranger to I'm not going to call them, obviously, none of these riders are amateurs, but the riders that we're going to see in our last chance qualifiers, who are some riders we should be looking for in our last chance qualifiers for our 250 class and our 450 class, in your opinion, that could very easily have made the main directly, but fell a bit short here?
Well, to answer that, what I'd like to do is pull up the results, because obviously as we're moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour, I don't want to just start naming names. Okay, so let's go with the 250 LCQ starting lineup and run down it. Okay, so we have Noah McConaughey, Justin Cooper, Blake Lilly, Jan Ramos, Bracken Hall, Bradley Lionette, Killian Alberson, Chris Howell, Ryan Surratt, and then Talon LaFontaine take the top 10. Okay, now obviously some of these guys that are further down, like Casey Brennan, Chase Marquier, Brock Shoemaker, Mitchell Harrison. These are riders that honestly should have made it straight in, but didn't. Ryan Surratt should have made it in. LaFontaine and Bryce Stewart are heavy favorites, but also Noah McConaughey, national number 75, and then Justin Cooper, number 62. Justin Cooper's on that monster Yamaha bike. He's expected to make it directly out of the heat. Obviously, things can go wrong. Listen, this is a popcorn list. To say, oh, well, it's going to go this, or this way, or to say that McConaughey is going to be the heavy favorite just because he has the first seat, it's not necessarily going to happen for him. Now, we're taking 4 riders into the main out of the LCQ. That's pretty
slim pickings.
That's pretty slim pickings. Yeah, a great way to put it. So anything can happen. I mean, obviously, on this list, there's 12 guys that belong in that top 4 out of the 22 riders. So really, it's too hard to just say this, and this guy. But if I had to pick a heavy favorite, I would go Cooper and Mitchell Harrison for sure. That those two would probably be top 2. Bryce Stewart is a pretty good wild card. He has excellent starts. He's got a great Yamaha underneath him with a good motor. And again, Ryan Surratt, national number 77, Talon LaFontaine on the HEP Motorsports Suzuki. He's riding on the 250F for them. Listen, these guys are capable of getting good starts. And again, now because we're talking about the 250 LCQ, anything can happen. And it is a knockdown, drag-out, 4-lap race.
That's where I was going to go with it. Was we've talked about the aggression in the 250 class and the 450 class heat races, but the real aggression comes out. I mean, a lot of these guys, they're just trying to make the main to pay for a small piece of what they've put down to just be there to race, not even make money, just try to pay back.
Yeah, absolutely. And all of the riders that have made it into the night show, they do get a piece of the pie. It ain't much, especially in the 250 class. Mike, let me ask you, since we're on the TV screen, since we're talking about the expanded metal starting gates, are you a fan of the gates?
It's one of those things. There's a lot of people that are going to say the same for everybody, yada, yada, yada. I'm personally not.
Okay.
But then again, at the same time, I've never started on a mesh starting gate.
Well,
I'm also not a fan of concrete starting gates either. I like good old fashioned dirt. You pick gate pick. To me, obviously your gate pick is huge at any race, but if you can line up at a spot, not only are you picking where you're going to line up to head into the first turn, but when it's just a straight dirt start, you can prep it and that kind of thing, but still the makeup of the dirt, the rut that's there, the lineup, just everything plays into a part. And when you kind of eliminate that, eliminates some of the importance of gate pick to me in some small bit.
Well, the start is the most important part of the race, and there is technique that goes into gate pick and gate position. Obviously, there's still going to be ruts in front of the gate, but it's the stuff behind the gate. I mean, okay, there have been times whenever I've gotten first gate pick, and I will pick not necessarily the prime spot to get into the first corner,
right?
But getting out of the gate with the rut that's behind the gate. Yeah, no, that's a tactic that you have to take into consideration at, your national and local races, but now you don't at Supercross. I think, hey, it's something different. It's a good thing to try. Let's just see how it goes. I don't think that any of the riders are going to start complaining. I believe that everybody really is going to say, hey, actually, this is a good way for everyone. And again, this is professional racing. These are the top tier guys. They have to race whatever the Feld crew throws at them. And again, everybody races the same track. Now everybody gets started out of the same gate, or not same gate, but the same surface.
Well, and there's no arguing with it either that, in theory, on paper, you eliminate that kind of thing. Everybody has a fair start. If everybody's starting on the exact same surface all the way down the line. So like you say, obviously when you get out of the gate, there's still going to be ruts out of the gate. You still have to choose your line choice heading into that first turn. But, and like you say, we can't stay, I guess not dark ages is the wrong word, but as things advance, changes are going to happen.
You can't stay vintage.
Correct.
Yeah. Our sport is evolving, and the promoters of the Supercross series need to stay with that mindset. And and talking about the start, equal opportunity behind the gate does not mean equal outcome at the going into the first corner, because obviously bikes have, we've got different weight riders, different horsepower, different gear settings, different adjustment of whole shot devices. There's and different technique, different skill level. I mean, everybody is a professional, and these are the greatest guys here. But the guy that pulls the whole shot and the guy that's in last, there's a skill difference between feathering the clutch, getting out of the gate, rolling on the and staying over the front of the bars. All of those things go into factor. It's just that we took out the surface of the rut behind the gate. It's I don't know. I think that it'll be there to stay. And I mean, sure, it's an additional thing that the Feld track crew has to move around week to week, but they're fully capable of doing that. Their road show is absolutely massive. So and again, everybody's been practicing on expanded metal. I mean, whether you're a privateer like Bubba Pauly in Illinois, he's got an expanded gate, and you can go to the hardware store and buy expanded metal.
Well, I think that's the other thing. I mean, obviously it does for the guys that are, privateer guys that are training and stuff. They do have to go out and go to, a little extra step to start on that kind of practice starts on that kind of thing. But it's nothing. It's not going to necessarily break the bank. Yes, it adds to the expense of being a privateer and being able to start with the front runners and that kind of thing. But I think until we start seeing, metal ramps with flame hula hoops on them, I think we'll be okay. Hey, we're going racing. Gate has dropped here for our last chance qualifier. 250s into the first turn they go. We'll see who grabs that early hole shot. Looks like a triple digit. Oh, several riders getting piled up here in this one. It's going to be the 902 of Auberson grabbing that early hole shot there. You see Harrison in the number 2 spot, followed up right there beside him by the 2081 of Chase Marquier.
Yeah, these guys are, they've got a lot on the line, and it's a short race, and only the top 4 go. These top 4 guys that are in top 4 qualifying spot right now, they need to go fast, but they also need to take it easy on each other, because this is, as much as it's a 4-man boxing match.
Well, and right now, the 902 of Albertson right now, he knows who's behind him right now. So not only is he got to be stoked to be leading this race, but he's got to be feeling the pressure just a bit. As you can see, Harrison playing it safe. He could be a lot more aggressive than he's being right now, but like you were talking about, trying to play it safe and just make it to the main.
Yeah, I don't think that playing it safe is going to work here. And Killian needs to ride his own race. Absolutely. He cannot worry about Mitchell Harrison and Justin Cooper directly behind him.
As they come back into the rhythm section after the start straight there, Harrison are on the outside. Albertson takes him wide there. And I tell you what, the 62, Cooper now alongside of Harrison. So now Harrison's going to have to turn up the heat a little bit, although they are all in transfer positions at this point. But still, as you mentioned, a gate pick's a gate pick.
Yeah, and it's these are the last 4 gate picks in the race, so they're junk gate picks, period. Now, obviously, they have good a launch pad with the expanded metal, so that's equal, but the gate picks themselves are going to be all the way outside and all the way inside, so they're just fighting over the best of the worst right now.
Well, right now it's going to be Cooper, Harrison, Albertson, and Ramos, your top 4 in the transfer positions here in this one. Howell in that number 5 spot as they work their way around here in this one.
Yeah, Chris Howell on the Huskies only 1.3 seconds behind Jan Ramos, and anything could happen. Ramos has to ride an absolutely flawless race right now to ensure his spot in the this 250SX West Main.
And, of course, these riders may not be putting down 110% here in this last chance qualifier, but I tell you what, Albertson right now not falling too far back from our front runners here in this one.
Yeah, you say that they may not be riding 100%. I would argue and say that they're riding 110% in heart and about 80% in skill, because this is, they're on the chopping block. One small mistake, and guess what? You're out of the main. You're out a couple $1,000s. And it's a long road to the next race.
Well, and as you mentioned, for these top 2 riders being, on the major teams, the Monster Energy Yamaha team, and of course the Rockstar Energy Husqvarna team, a lot is on the line for these guys. A lot on the line for all of these riders. But these guys, they're truly expected to be in that main event tonight.
Well, that's whenever they get signed to these teams. The deal is, hey, we're putting you on this factory bike. We have sponsor expectations. You're the guy that we picked to go. As we see, it looks like Ramos may get the better end of Killian Albertson here. Let's hope that these two, which I believe that both of them, if they made it in, would be their first Supercross main. They need to play a smart race here, because Chris Howell, who's made it into a grip of races, Howell not able to jump the triple there, and it appears that. I don't know who that 117, Julio Zambrano, if that's who that is, that's directly behind. Oh, no, I'm sorry. That's Chase Marquier out of Oklahoma that's gotten up into the 5th spot, and he's foaming at the mouth. We got 20 seconds left plus a lap.
Oh, hang on to, the 992 of Ramos. Wild ride right there. Marquier now works his way up into the number 4 spot.
And that right there is exactly what happens in these last chance qualifiers. These guys, are riding over their head a little bit to try to make it into that main, and they make those stupid little mistakes that they shouldn't be making.
Marquier right now, he's got to be all smiles. However, I tell you what, the 992 of Ramos, can he regroup? Here he comes through the rhythm section. He's got the inside line on him as they head back through this one.
Yeah, if he's smart, he'll park Marquier right there.
Oh, actually a pretty clean pass for him right there. Here comes Marquier. They'll back up and over the triple they go. This is going to be, Marquier.
Yeah, Marquier was trying to dive to the inside, and the track's obviously slick right there, and they had a lapper to, a lot was going on going into that corner.
A tough break right there for him. So Ramos now back up into that final transfer spot. Here's your leader, the 62 of Cooper, out front leading the way. He's on cruise control here in this one. One final time down the start stretch. Harrison in the number 2 spot, Albertson in the 3 spot, Ramos in the 4. Howell now back up into the number 5 spot.
Yeah, and Howell has 1.7 seconds to catch up to Jan Ramos, so I don't think that he'll may be able to make that happen, barring that Ramos doesn't make a mistake here.
That we've already seen once from Ramos. And there you see, it looks like we got a down rider.
Yeah, so whenever the obviously, as everybody knows, it's they must roll tires on the ground during Red Cross flag.
I did not see where that rider was down at, but checkered flag is out. Cooper taking the win, air wheelie.
Absolutely amazing.
Ronnie Mack style. Harrison coming around for that number 2 spot. And Albertson taking 3rd, followed up by Ramos, that 4th and final transfer spot, and he's pumped to make it to the main tonight.
Fantastic to have a couple privateer riders make it into the main from this race.
So coming up next, going to be our last chance qualifier for our 450 class. You can see our two heavy hitters in that one. Thumbs up, working their way into the main. So now if you're those guys, what do you go back and do? It looked like to me, Marquier or Harrison, he didn't even change his gear after going down in his heat race. He still had a dirty shoulder.
Well, I think that I'm sorry, you mean Harrison?
Harrison.
Yeah, Harrison did. He did still have dirty gear, but I mean, dude, this is action packed. I mean, between if he was, let's see, I mean, he should have had enough time, unless he may have thought he injured himself. Mm-hmm. I mean, the thing is, he may have gone to the Alpine Star medical trackside trailer and gotten checked out in case he, banged up his shoulder, could have gotten a shot or something. But yeah, he's good to see him back in. But yeah, he did have a dirty shoulder there. So it's unfortunately it's a bad night. And what's funny is we were just talking about the guys that could have made it in, and I wouldn't have said Albertson and Ramos were going to make it in above Howell, Surratt, and LaFontaine. But again, that is what happens in these short 4-lap races, maybe 5, but I mean it's 4 minutes plus a lap, so I guess that would have been about 5 minutes. But I wouldn't have. That's not. I picked Cooper and Harrison for sure, but Albertson and Ramos were not my two guys right behind them, and it's gonna be a pretty long night from the stands for a lot of these riders, which are completely capable. As we look at. For example, Bryce Stewart, Brock Shoemaker, Bradley Lionette, the Frenchman, Robbie Wageman, who was a rookie last year. I don't think he's been able to crack it. He's made quite a few night shows, but has yet to make it into a main event. Chase Marquier, national number 81. I mean, honestly, he should have been in there, but he just made that little mistake coming into that washy corner there.
Tough mistake there for him, too. And as they are going to be doing some track maintenance after the 450 last chance qualifier, how much will that help with the grip levels for these guys as they kind of smooth things out a bit?
Well, the truth of the matter is that every time a bike passes over that dirt, it packs down. And then all they do with the skid steers and bulldozers is they back drag that dirt that's been pushed out. So it's not like they're going in and tilling it up and uncompacting that dirt. They're just putting loose dirt on top of the hard dirt, right? So the track is still going to have that hard base, and it will show its ugly face sooner than in the first couple races or practice even. And for every lap that the track has on it, starting from practice, it's only going to get more beat down, more compacted. I mean, sure, you can polish a turd, but it's still going to be a turd. I mean, the truth is, you can put the dirt where the holes are. The holes are still going to come back.
Yep.
And it will just compound from there. Again, I'm curious to see, as I think we all are, what happens whenever the track really deteriorates in that 450 main here on the West Coast. We're used to it getting extremely ruddy on the East Coast, but on the West Coast, especially. So let's listen to Jenny. Let's see what she has to say about Dean Wilson. So just a pretty hard hit for Dino there, and man, that was a hell of a hit. I wonder if he's got one of those Yeah, I bet, because he's wearing shift gear this year, so he does have that magnetic breakaway visor that Fox has released on their new V3 helmet.
That was definitely a hard hit as we get set to go here for our 450 last chance qualifier. So Wilson out for tonight. Hopefully we'll see him back for next week. On the line here, we got Tedder, Ray, Politelli, Catanzaro, Miller, Intignap. That's Tyler Intignap. Adam Intignap squeezing his way into the main from the heat race. Martin, and the gate drops here in this one. We are off and underway. 450 last chance qualifier into the first turn. Who's going to grab that early hole shot as they work their way around? Looks like it's going to be the number 90, Dakota Tedder. Tedder with the early lead here in this, and Politelli in second. Benny Bloss, the number 60, in the number 3 spot early on as they work their way around here on lap number 1.
I would say that Bloss is obviously the heavy favorite for this race, and he should be the one that's out front just based off of pure skill level. Some of these other guys that are behind him, I think we'll see some wild rides, and as I said, anything can happen in these races. And as you can imagine, to be to be the guys that are in second, third, and fourth right now, there's a lot of pressure, and it looks like Bowers has jumped up into the fourth place, and Dakota Tedder's still in second, and then the number one, 91 of Alex Ray. I mean, he's going to have a hell of a fight getting around the bear.
So Bloss out front here, leading this one by 1.4 seconds. And Tyler Bowers at number 69 machine. Now, Bowers, obviously a former, one rider down. Oh, that is Benny Bloss. That is the last thing you want to see for Benny Bloss. He has struggled with injury after injury, and Bloss is down in the rhythm section now. Wow.
Yeah, a lot of mistakes are being made right now. The surface of the track is pretty much as good as gone. Let's see what happens to Benny here.
So this is after the start straight. He goes wide, takes the wide line, and drops the front. Oh, hard hit right there. Rode that one out, though.
You know, I'm not so sure that Benny intended to even triple in there. It looked like he misjudged the double and almost forgot that there was a third roller in there.
Well, I'm wondering, too, maybe if he didn't intend to go that wide coming out of that corner either. It looked like that didn't typically seem to be a hot line to run that wide, but we'll see.
So Dakota Tedder's out front right now. I'm not sure if he's ever won an LCQ. This is good for him and his new team on the Monster Energy KTM. Although the KTM itself is not Monster Energy, it's his gear has the Monster Energy logos all over it. Which, as we know, in previous years, Dakota Tedder's been on his own private Monster Energy Kawasaki team. Now he's got this KTM ride and seems to be meshing with that bike really well.
Yeah, he does out front, leading this one. Bowers in the number 2 spot. Basillia in the number 3 spot. Ray and Politelli, your top 5 right now. Right now, the 91 of Ray. We saw him. He actually jumped into the face of the triple there as they worked their way around on that last lap. And Ray trying to dive his way up the... Oh, Ray with a mistake right there. Able to save it, though. Ray in that number 4 spot right now. I tell you what, if I was Ray, I think I would just turn it down. Oh, over jumps the triple bit. Turn it down just a notch. He's got right now 1.3 seconds over Politelli in the number 5 spot with only a minute left to go before that white flag comes out.
Well, mind you, he's in a catch-22 because Basillia is right in front of him, and Basillia is no slouch. I mean, he's going to be a hard guy to get around, but he has to match his speed without making any mistakes. Alex Ray does because Politelli is right. It looks like 2.5 seconds behind, but that could change any second. Barring mistakes.
And here comes Tyler Bowers. Now Bowers looking to battle for the lead here with Dakota Tedder. So Tyler Bowers, number 69, of course, known for his arena cross career. Not afraid to get dirty with these guys as he works his way around here into the whoop section right now, closing the gap up on Tedder.
Yeah, I don't suspect that Bowers would do anything out of the ordinary and make an overly aggressive pass. And Dakota Tedder knows that Bowers is known as the bear and that he's not going to play with fire with Bowers.
He's not going to poke the bear.
No, absolutely not. There's no incentive to do that. First place or second place, again, like as we said earlier, junk starting pick. This is a good spot for him, first or second. They have a fair. Dakota is to their 2.5 seconds ahead of Alex Ray.
Well, and there goes Bowers right there. But Dakota Tedder diving back to the inside right now. They're going to be getting, 2 to go, it says. And there's Bloss being carted off the track. 1 lap left to go. White flag is out here. So Bloss, he does not look happy.
Well, he was moving both of his arms and wrists and his legs also. He probably just took a real hard hit to the midsection.
Hopefully we'll see him back in action next week. Meanwhile, Bowers back out front leading this one. Tedder in the number 2 spot. Ray in the number 3 spot now. Politelli still just outside the number 4 transfer spot.
Yeah, he's got about a second to make up on Basillia, and with only 1 lap to go, it would have to be quite the feat for him to make that happen. But he is fully capable of doing just that.
If he's going to burn a heater lap, it's going to have to be this one, that's for sure. Bowers working his way around one final time here on that number 69 Kawasaki machine.
I really like Bowers' setup here. He's got this new sponsor with 7 Gear. He's been with Shift for a long time, and that seems to be working for him.
As they work their way around, Bowers with the win. Tedder coming around for second. Alex Ray in the number 3 spot. Basillia in the number 4 spot. That is going to be your final transfer spot from the last chance qualifier into the main event tonight. So Politelli just missing out with that 5th place finish.
Basillia on the Living 100 Nut Up Suzuki. Good to see him get that team into the main also that will be their first time into the main. So Mike and everyone at home, so we're going to go into a quick break here during intermission between now that the last chance qualifiers have set up, and the 250 main event will be up next, and we'll just quickly run through the starting lineup of the 250 main, which is going to be, Mike, why don't you take that right there?
All right, it's going to be Shane McElrath, Christian Craig, Adam Cianciarillo, Joey Savacci, Aaron Plessinger, Mitchell Oldenburg, Bradley Taft, Alex Martin, Hayden Melross, Justin Hill, Chase Sexton, Philip Nicoletti, Justin Hoft, Kyle Chisholm, Dakota Alex, Justin Starling, Ryan Brees, Brendan Leith, Justin Cooper, Mitchell Harrison, Killian Alberson, and Ramos.
Jan Ramos. Okay.
Jan.
Yeah, so we will be back on air whenever about 5 minutes before start of the 250 main, which is scheduled to go at 8:50 p.m., which is 10:50 p.m. Local time, Central Standard. So we will be back on at 10:40. So stay tuned right here on the OTB Facebook. Share again. That's the fb.com/OTB podcast. We'll see you in a little bit.
Here for Anaheim 1, 2018 Monster Energy Supercross Series. Jeff, we've seen some pretty exciting qualifying. We want to welcome everybody back. Main events are up next. What can we expect?
I think we can, to quote, what is it? Fresno Smooth. A lot of big air. We're going to see a lot of big air and good racing. Back to you.
I think we're definitely going to see some fantastic racing course coming up. First, going to be our 250 main event, followed up by our 450 main. In our 250 class, it's anybody's guess as to who's in it. For the 450, if you guys missed out on the qualifiers, obviously Dean Wilson, unfortunately, out for tonight with a shoulder injury after a big crash on the face of the triple. Does sound like he's going to be okay, but not back for tonight, that's for sure. Ken Roxon, obviously a big story as well, making his way directly into the main event tonight. Chad Reed making it into the main event despite his foot injury. Another big one that's going to be in the 450 class is Justin Barsha. Justin Barsha taking a heat race win and looked absolutely flawless, in my opinion. In that heat race, we saw a lot of intense action. Cooper Webb, another one in there. Webb and Roxon actually nearly touching wheels on the takeoff one of the triples. So going to be some great racing, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think, listen, it's going to be a roulette over A, who gets to the first corner first, and B, who can, make the most out of the least. Really, anything could happen. It's going to be a great race either way, whether it's a freight train or whether we have a lot of mixed up riders. I mean, I'm just happy to be here and watching and being able to do this race competing podcast. But let me ask you, Mike, who do you think? Okay, if you had to put $20 on a winner, who would you go with?
Are we going 250 or 450 or both?
Let's go 250 first.
250 first, based on what I saw in the heat races. I think Justin Hill, obviously, he's defending champion. He's on a new bike this year, but I think start's going to be crucial tonight, and I don't think he's going to get the start. I don't think he has the starts dialed in. I think one rider that does and has the speed is going to be Adam Cianciarillo, assuming he stays on two wheels. So I'm going to go with Adam on 250. For 450, going into this race, I all with the hype. I was going to go, Roxon, that sort. But I think, again, after seeing the heat races, you can't out Justin Barsha.
No. And, I want to say that the 450 class, it could be, Seeley, Barsha, Tomac, Roxon, Anderson, Muscan. I mean, even at the top three, Brayton, Weston Pike, the number 6 of Jeremy Martin. We have a lot of options of guys that are podium threat riders.
Well, you're right. And a lot of those guys maybe didn't shine so much in the heat races, but the main event is a whole different thing. And like you said, obviously they've done a little track maintenance, but after the long 250 race, when you get into the 450 race, all that changes, and these guys have been riding all night. So obviously their energy level and their stamina is going to change as well. And a 15-minute race is a lot different than a 6-minute race. That's for sure.
Absolutely. So while we have a quick second here, I want to thank all of our Patreon subscribers, Corey Hip, Corey Francis, Dylan Dior Nellis, Jesse Anderson, Christopher McKillop, Justin Jones, Dan Bax, AJ Edwards, Josh Hudson, Eric Young, and then, of course, our corporate sponsors, Bar to Bar MX out of Wichita, Donnell's Motorcycles here in Independence, Missouri, Nick Peterson's Bikeworks LLC, and Darttown Arena in Chattanooga, Tennessee. So thank you. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon subscriber, go to patreon.com/overthebars and check out our levels of contribution and pledge.
Looks like we are now getting set to go here for our 250 main event here for Anaheim, number 1 for Monster Energy Supercross 2018 season. The riders all lined up, getting set to go here in this one. The lineup, of course, Justin Hill, Kyle Chisholm, Savachi, Plessinger, Martin, McElrath, Harrison, Craig, Sexton, Dakota Alex, your top 10 gate picks. That board getting set to go sideways. 2018 getting set to get underway. The first main event getting set for that gate drop now. Looking for the riders to the end of the first turn. And off and underway into the first turn they go. Who's going to grab that early hole shot, diving up the inside? That looks like a Troy Lee KTM rider. As they come out of this one with the hole shot, it's going to be the 28 of Shane McElrath.
Yeah, those KTMs are really good out of the gate. And as we can see, so are the Geico Hondas right there behind him. And of course, the Yamahas of Plessinger and... wow, looks like we got a couple guys collected up in that first rhythm section.
Oh, it looks like the 902, that's Alberson, I believe. The 992 there, I believe those might be our last chance qualifier riders working their way up, so a rough start in the main for them. But out front, the 28 of McElrath leading the way. He's got Martin in the number 2 spot, but there is the 32 right there of Christian Craig in that number 3 spot. Look at Craig around the outside as Craig works his way to the number 2 spot quickly here in this one.
Yeah, Craig needs to give it everything that he's got because he's not, he is flashes of brilliance. He is all talent. I would not call him a good conditioned rider judging off of past results. So he needs to get out front as absolutely fast as possible if he wants to have a chance at winning this race.
Well, look at Martin right now. Alex Martin not giving up so easy here in this one as Craig gets by him, but Martin drag races him down the start straight into that rhythm section once again. They've got Plessinger behind him, and of course, Adam Cianciarillo in the number 5 spot.
Yeah, this is going to be a good race, and we've got 13 minutes, 13 and a half minutes to go, and anything can happen in that amount of time as the track continues to deteriorate.
Well, we saw Plessinger right there through that rhythm section before the triple, making a little bit different line there. The Martin seemed to gain a little bit of time. And another line right there. Look at Plessinger up the inside. Not quite close enough. Shows him a wheel. Martin knows he's there now through the whoop section. Plessinger using the height to his advantage.
Yeah, that tripling in through that rhythm right after the finish line could be a major key later in the race.
There goes Plessinger now up into the number 3 spot here in this one. Meanwhile, Shane McElrath still out front. And look at McElrath already out to a 3.2 second lead on Christian Craig on a Geico Honda in the number 2 spot.
McElrath won last year. Plessinger was in second, and Davalos, who's not in the West Coast, was in third. So we've got a couple opportunities for some new guys to get podium spots as Martin makes a mistake there and allows Cianciarillo to get by him.
There you see Cianciarillo looking over his shoulder there. Cianciarillo working his way now up into the number 4 spot. He's got his sight sex on Plessinger now. Up and over the finish line, they go 4-second now lead for Shane McElrath. So McElrath laying it down early on here in this one at 53.5. That is 1 second faster than the next fastest lap on the track early on in this one.
And the lap times are only going to slow down as the race continues, both out of wear on the body and the track again deteriorating. That's going to be a major key tonight in this race and both in the 450 race.
Aaron Plessinger right now looking for a way by Christian Craig, but Craig holding strong in that number 2 spot. We talked about Craig after his heat race, looked a little more winded than some of the other riders. Can he hold on to this number 2 spot right now as Plessinger trying to find a way by him?
I think, he could hold on to it. What I'm impressed with right now is McElrath having a 4.3 second lead on second and third place. And, these guys are battling with each other and having to play cat and mouse. Meanwhile, McElrath is, plainly put, he's just smoking them.
And while these two right here battling back and forth as well, Adam Cianciarillo in the number 4 spot, Alex Martin in that number 5 spot. We've got Sexton, Savachi, Hill, your defending champion, sitting in the number 8 spot. Here comes Cianciarillo up the inside on Christian Craig now.
Yeah, I'm rather surprised. Okay, since Cianciarillo makes the pass, scrubs underneath Christian Craig, and it looks like Christian's going to do his, fairly known job of fading back a little bit.
Adam C. and Cirillo right now closing that gap up on Plessinger just a bit. So these two riders, second and third, they're now 5 seconds back from McElrath. 11 minutes left to go here in this one. Shane McElrath has tried to jump out front early here in this one to gap himself on this field. But I tell you what, with Adam C. and Cirillo, that last lap by, he had a 53.9. So nearly identical fast laps as McElrath are in the early stages of this race. So Cianciarulo could be catching up and could pose a threat for the win here in this one.
Also, further back in the pack on our screen here, you'll see Alex Martin, Joey Savacci, Chase Sexton, and Justin Hill. I mean, we've got quite a train here of the top 6 or 7 guys within striking distance. Right now, if Plessinger makes a mistake, he's got 6 guys right on his rear, ready to jump on his his flub, and the other riders will capitalize on that. And then that could set off a chain reaction of dicing back and forth. Meanwhile, McElrath is just walking away.
When we were talking about Justin Hill not able to get the start that he was hoping for in the heat race, and it looks once again here in the main event. So I would imagine after this week, main event starts is going to be something that Justin Hill is going to be focusing on throughout his practice this coming week for round 2.
Also, it looks like Jan Ramos and Killian Albertson have got back up from their crash on the first lap and really rejoined the race, and good to see them clicking off some laps.
Plessinger right now starting to put a little bit of a gap now on Cianciarulo, just a couple bike links. Meanwhile, McElrath now 6 seconds ahead of Aaron Plessinger. So McElrath grabbed the whole shot. Could he go for a start-to-finish win here in this one?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he is a start to checkers, green to checkers kind of guy. That's what he's known for, is whenever he gets a good start, he's an absolute threat to just walk away. And I believe that's what he did last year here also. So, it shows laps led, 15 laps by Shane McElrath last year, and it looks like he's going to repeat that for a second year in a row here at the season opener at Angel Stadium.
Well, obviously, results from last year, that seems like such a long time ago, but for these riders, especially somebody like Shane McElrath, they've got to have a little more confidence coming into this, knowing what they did last year, and they know they've done it once and they can do it again. And as you see, coming through the whoop section right now, the number 1 of Justin Hill has worked his way up to the number 7 spot now, closing the gap up on Alex Martin.
Well, absolutely. Everybody has a favorite track and a favorite stadium. I mean, whenever you have good results at a venue, you're going to go into that venue with good confidence.
I believe right there behind Savacci, that may have been Martin making a mistake heading into that corner. We have to see if they pan back to him there. Martin may have made a mistake, and that may have let Hill by. No, it does not. Hill still trailing back in the number 7 spot right now. Savacci right now in the number 17 machine, working his way through the rhythm section, closing up on Christian Craig. So Craig still holding the number 4 spot right now as they work their way back around here.
Yeah, from second place down to 7th, you're only talking about a couple seconds different. Actually, even given 8th, Chase Sexton and Mitchell Oldenburg right behind him, and Bradley Taft in 10th to wrap out your top 10. I mean, this is good, close racing. These guys cannot make any mistakes whatsoever if they want to hold on to a top 10 finish.
As the track's starting to change a little bit more and more, we saw some riders, including Justin Hill, instead of trying to skim across the top of the whoops, that first set of whoops, I should say, before the finish line, they're actually starting to jump through them more and more. I think we're going to see more and more of that as the night goes on. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll notice that a lot of the corners are starting to develop 4, 5, 6 ruts, even going from the top down. And the more favored rut is for sure the inside rut. But once that rut deteriorates more, the riders are going to move down even further. But it kind of gets to the point to where you have to decide, do I go outside and go ahead and hit the chop, or do I cut inside and run a slower corner but play it safe? And it really depends on who's in front of you and who's behind you and what kind of gap you may or may not have with the riders in front and behind.
Well, as you can see, this time around, looks like Hill. Look at Chase Sexton now. Sexton putting the pressure on Justin Hill. Up and over the finish line they go. Sexton on that number 40 Geico Honda, putting the pressure on the number 1 Suzuki of Justin Hill, your defending champion right now, up and over the double into that second set of whoops they go now. McElrath still out front. His lead, though, still 6 seconds. So he got out to a 6-second lead early on, and he has not gapped the field from that point. He's staying a pretty consistent 6-second lead over Plessinger, the number 2 spot, Cianciarulo, and the 3, Christian Craig and Joey Savacci.
So to take a second, let's check out the moment of the race here. They're going to call that where, see, Nicoletti, he went out of the race early, and man, that's a hell of a hit right there. Wow.
And he actually looked like he banged bars there with the 92 of Cianciarulo.
Man, Phil has bad luck. I mean, that's just, it's not his fault at all. I think that he expected Adam to be a little bit further to the left and just got caught between a rock and a hard place there. And again, these guys are going for it. Man, yeah, I think that actually could have been a lot worse, honestly.
Yeah, it really could have been. Here we're looking at our leader with 5 minutes, 55 seconds left to go. Shane McElrath, the number 28 on that Troy Lee Designs KTM out front leading the way. Now, Plessinger only 5.2 seconds back in the number 2 spot. So, Plessinger, 0.8 of a second gain on your leader here these past couple laps by. 5:30 left to go. Is that enough time? Now, 5 seconds separate him.
Well, he's got 5.5 minutes plus a lap left, and anything can happen in that amount of time as they go across those whoops right there that is really defining one line down the middle and fading off to the right to set up for that left-hander before the finish. So right now it's McElrath, Plessinger, Cianciarulo, Craig, Savacci, Martin, Hill, Oldenburg, Sexton, Taft, Chisholm, Cooper, Melross, Alex, Harrison, Starling, Brees, Heft, Leith, Alberson, Ramos, and Nicoletti out of the race in 22nd.
Right now, Christian Craig, he's got the company of Joey Savacci closing the gap up on him. That's going to be the battle for 4th and 5th here in this one. Alex Martin in the number 6 spot. And, of course, we saw Sexton. He was up there in the running, battling with Hill. Something must have happened to Sexton as he's dropped back in the field, as you mentioned. Here they come back around into that rhythm section just off the start straight.
I don't know if it's by comparison watching these two riders together, both Christian Craig and Joey Savacci, but it's almost as if Christian Craig looks like he's out of gas already, just judging by how he's kind of standing up his upper body coming into some of those jump phases where Savacci's a little more aggressive. And I mean, it paid off right there for Savacci. The training has as Craig slips back another spot. And if you watch him ride, he looks like he's being not lazy, but a little more lackadaisical than he should be.
The aggression just isn't quite there as you see in some of these other riders. There you see Chase Sexton now, the number 40, chasing down Justin Hill. So I thought he had fallen back, but maybe not. Justin Hill into the rhythm section right now, the number 1. He is in that number 7 spot, so he is not moving up through the field as I had predicted he would. Meanwhile, McElrath still out front with a 5.5 second lead on Plessinger as they work their way back around the 52 right now of Oldenburg, putting the pressure on Sexton.
I don't think that Hill would quite notch this as a successful race. Obviously, he's got the number 1 plate. He wants to win. He needs to be further up in the pack than 7th place right now.
And there goes Oldenburg now, going for the triple through the rhythm section. Works his way by Chase Sexton. So Oldenburg on that Monster Energy Yamaha works his way by, and he's now got his sights set on Justin Hill, the number 1 machine, as they work their way into the whoop section. Hill skimming across the top. Oldenburg, you saw jumping through him there. Sexton dropping back a spot. Look at Oldenburg, how close he has gotten already to Justin Hill.
Actually, now that we're watching this and seeing both Christian Craig and his teammate, number 40, which is Chase Sexton, I wonder if there's something going on with those motorcycles that they're not handling very well tonight, because both of those riders are extremely skilled, talented, and in good shape. They shouldn't be throwing out anchor like this. It makes me wonder if there's not a common denominator between the two, as if they couldn't get the suspension dialed in, or the frame is too rigid, or something. There's a lot of variables going on here, causing. It makes you wonder why them. Why are they the ones that have their tongue caught up in the front wheel with 2.5 minutes plus a lap to go?
Well, and Oldenburg had closed that gap up just a bit on Hill, but he made a bit of a mistake. He's now back on the back wheel of Hill. McElrath right now with a 4-second lead on Plessinger with 2:15 left to go as they work their way back around right now. Coming back into the infield section, Justin Hill through the whoop section. And as you can see, Oldenburg taking that outside line. Now, different line through this rhythm section last time by. We'll see if they got a different line this time. Well, next straight, I should say. As they come back around, it's McElrath, Plessinger, Cianciarulo, Savacci, Craig, your top 5 here in this one.
Yeah, you can see the Oldenburg is actually cutting inside of those main ruts, and it seems to be working out for him. His Yamaha's really hooking up in those sections.
Well, and here goes Oldenburg. He's going to try and set him up, dive under right now. Not quite close enough to make it happen. as they triple back through this rhythm section. Now both riders going triple. Oh, look at Oldenburg. Oldenburg showing him wheel, but Hill not backing down. But look right behind him. They've got Chase Sexton. Sexton may take advantage of this as these two riders banging bars.
Yeah, this is a good tight bar-to-bar race, but as these two are playing around with each other, Sexton's going to get a good drive through these whoops and show his wheel. And now we've got a menage a trois between the three of these guys. And those two need to be careful because Sexton's right there ready to strike.
With only a minute 15 to go before that white flag comes out. So right now, who would have thought in this race, the battle for 6th, 7th, and 8th is going to be the highlight of this race right now, as Shane McElrath just running away with this one.
I'm starting to see some smoke coming off of the number 52 Yamaha right there.
Oh.
I wonder if he could, if he got in together with Hill there and could have punctured a hole in the case, or if that's brake fluid leaking off.
Oh, with 45 seconds left to go, will that bike hold together here in this one? As they're working their way through the rhythm section, Oldenburg has worked his way. Oh, look at Hill now. Hill right there. He could have committed a little harder, I think, but he backed it out just a bit, checked up. Oldenburg now up into the number 6 spot. So Hill to 7th, and now Chase Sexton in the number 8 spot.
McElrath, Plessinger, and Cincerillo all riding really good, clean races with McElrath 5.1 seconds ahead, and then 2 seconds between Plessinger and Cincerillo. Those are your top three.
So Oldenburg right now, he is 24 seconds back in the number 6 spot from your leader, Shane McElrath.
That's a pretty sizable lead between 1st and 6th place. But again, whenever these guys are playing games with each other, you're going to fall behind significantly from the leader's pace. And I think what's going on here with Oldenburg's bike is that whenever he got together with look at that. I'm sorry, did the checkered flag just come out?
Oh, no, I think that might have been the white flag. Checkered led this lap. Scoreboard on the left-hand side reading the checkered flag.
Okay,
we got one more to go.
Yeah. I think that they did throw the flag early a little bit there, and live timing and scoring kind of threw us for a loop. So, yeah, McElrath out on the 28, Troy Lee Designs KTM. I mean, he's got a very sizable lead. He needs to ride smart on this last lap and not worry about the lap riders in front of him and just ride his own race on this last lap.
As he's working his way around one final time, working his way through a bit of lap traffic, 3.8 second lead here on Plessinger. Cianciarulo in the number 3 spot. So what a way to start the 2018 series here for Shane McElrath. He did the same in 2017. He's looking to do it again here in 2018.
Well, hopefully he can keep this streak rolling. If it would be good for him and his team, and good confidence going into the remainder of this season.
Checkered flag. Shane McElrath taking the win here in our 250 main event. He's done it again. He won the opener last year, and he's back again for a start-to-finish win here for A1. McElrath, a big win there for the Red Bull Troy Lee Designs KTM team. Coming around for that number 2 spot, going to be Aaron Plessinger and Adam Cianciarulo. Going to round out your top 3.
I like that mosaic-looking gear that they've got this year. It's not too flashy. It's just got a good vibe between dark and bright with those mosaic pinstripes on it. So, Mike, your take on that race? I mean, what do you take away from that?
I got to be honest with you. I think I was a little disappointed that the battle wasn't up front, but the battle between 6th, 7th, and 8th, definitely a good battle to watch. I think Justin Hill, he's definitely got the speed. He showed it in timed qualifying today. I think he's just got to get the starts to be running up there. Justin Hill's fastest lap time in that race was a 54.5, which is 1 second slower than Shane McElrath, which was a 53.5. So I think there's some work to be done for a lot of these guys, but I think this is a great start to the season so far.
Well, and I mean, that's aside from Nicoletti riding that Suzuki 250F last year, this is, the first time that they've had a championship, that JGR Suzuki has had a championship caliber rider on that Suzuki 250F. The last time that we saw someone competitive on a Suzuki 250F, as we stated at the beginning of the last show, Dungey 2009. Ever since then, Suzuki has been kind of not necessarily that competitive in the lights class, or I'm sorry, the 250SX class. So, going forward, Hill's going to have to regroup. The team's going to have to figure out what do they have to do to get that bike out front off of the starts, because so far, except for in the first heat race where he did have a good start, that was a less than good start. I mean, if you're going to defend the number 1 plate, getting 7th in the first race is not going to be how you do it. And for now 2 years in a row, McElrath will be going into the second round of the Supercross series with a red plate.
Well, and I think, of course, another rider that I think deserves a lot of props in this one, Aaron Plesser and Adam Cianciarulo. I think Adam in this one definitely was much calmer and much. He seems to be kind of a make or break kind of guy in the seasons past, and it seemed to me on this one, he did what he had to do to, as you said earlier, survive this race, and a top 3 finish. That's a great start to the season.
Well, and Adam has been one of those riders that was so highly touted during his amateur tenure at Kawasaki, and this is a dead horse subject that we all know, but it's worth stating. That was a fantastic championship caliber ride for Adam. I believe he's got the championship in mind. That's what the man wants to do, is he wants to win the championship. He's got races under his belt. You know, he's won first place trophies, but now it's time for him to get those championship points and championship titles racked under his belt before he moves up to the 450 class. Now we're going to step aside and listen to the Fox Sports broadcast. So I like what Shane just said there, is that it is a simple track, and honestly, with Supercross, a lot of times we don't need, the track designers don't need to reinvent the wheel to provide for good racing. I mean, obviously, it's a challenging enough track, yet we're getting good amounts of racing between the riders. So let's go back to the screen over here and listen to Plessinger here for his second place. So yeah, I mean, I like what I'm hearing out of all 3 of them, is that they understand that, you know, they can't win the championship tonight.
You know what I found the most interesting was we were talking about the track and how what we would consider on the sidelines as the track being a simple layout and that kind of thing. McElrath, on the other hand, kind of sounded like, I mean, he said that it was a simple layout, but it was more technical and a lot gnarlier than we really had anticipated it to be. He thought, in his opinion, it was a gnarly track.
Well, and again, I'd say a lot of that attributes to the track just breaking down and being rough. Now, I mean, see, what we're used to, especially at Anaheim, is those, like, for instance, the whoops becoming so compacted in blue groove. Now, I mean, I don't know what they did with this dirt, but it's got good quality to it. It's got good moisture in it. Everything about the dirt is just right. Man, I don't care how many times they replay that crash of Roxon's. It never gets unsettling. I mean, that is probably one of the worst crashes that I've ever seen. And the fact that we had it in high definition, slow motion, and that it's replayed so many times, it's I don't want to say let's stop playing it, let's stop watching it, but man, there's so many times that I can see that before I just got to look away.
How do you think Ken Roxon feels? How many times do you think he's seen it?
Too many.
Too many.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking about bike setups with the Geico Honda guys. Could it have anything to do with coming into Anaheim expecting one sort of track surface, and you arrive and essentially, I mean, they can do a lot in a very short amount of time, but at the same time, kind of preparing for Anaheim as it's been in years past, and you show up this year and it's essentially totally different. It's an East Coast style track.
Yeah, absolutely. And the teams that are on that have their riders training on the West Coast, they're setting up West Coast, bikes. So whenever we come into a race like this, where the track is more tacky, more loose in terms of, I'm not going to say loose, that's not the right word, but it is just tackier, and we're getting more lines developing. It's, man, I really want to pay attention to what I'm saying, but this commercial that's on for the Scott E-Vest has me so twisted up, because this is like the ultimate mesh between like high tech and super crummy infomercial. Did you see that? Where like these people all had all these kinds of radio gadgets and electronics and stuff, and they're like juggling them and dropping them down the street. And it's perfect for airports, because if you wear the E-Vest in all of your pockets, you'll have all your iPad and your iPhone and your wallet and everything right there ready to go until somebody steals it.
Your whole E-Vest?
Yeah, that's it. I mean, hey, you put that. How did I end up with your pen? That's your pen. So, yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of big air out there tonight. Big air. Back to you, Mike.
Well, I will say that was for the lead in that one. That was less an exciting race, but I think in the 450 class we're going to see some pretty exciting racing. You were talking about that lip face that Wilson crashed on early on in this one, and it doesn't appear that much was done or changed on that.
Well, something to take into consideration there is that the 250Fs don't have quite the torque to overjump that, whereas the 450s, straight up, they have too much power to just simply double that. So it's easy for the riders to just kind of overcompensate in the throttle and jump too far, whereas the 250 guys are probably just struggling to simply get over the double.
That's true. That's a good point. What do you think is going to be obviously the biggest shocker of the 250 class, and that one was probably Justin Hill, in my opinion. What do you think is going to be the shocker in our 450 class? Or do you think there's going to be a big shocker in the 450 class?
Again, and I've said this throughout the night, there should be no surprises. Everything about the guys that have gone into the race, let's pull up the, dang it, wrong one. I'd like to pull up the results, the combined starting lineup of the 450 main. Okay. Anderson has the number 1 seed with the win in the Heat 1, and then Barsha has the number 2 seed, gate pick coming in with the win in Heat 2. Okay, so Anderson, Barsha, Tomac, Brayton. I'd say of the guys coming in, Brayton out of Iowa on the Smart Top MCR Honda is probably the name that I would expect the least to be that high.
I would agree.
Now, Blake Baggett, Ken Roxon, Cole Seeley. Now, also Marvin Musquin. A lot of people probably expected him to be the top 3 seeds going into that race. Into the main. I was
going to say, he's the opposite for me. I feel like Brayton is much higher up than I thought he would be, and I think Musquin is probably much lower in terms of starting gate pick for the main than I thought he was going to be.
And also, I kind of expect a little bit more out of Jeremy Martin than what his heat showed of him. And, it's too bad that Tickle crashed out like he did. I mean, whenever he was leading his heat. And then, of course, our 4 guys that are going in from the LCQ, Bowers, Tedder, Ray, and Bisceglia. Bisceglia is a much better rider than having that the 22nd seed. He should be up in the top 10, national number 58. I'd say probably the biggest shocker would be if I had to just throw $20 on who will be the wild card, I'd say it would be Brock Tickle if we were strictly going off of the way the results are listed here. Also, props to Ben LeMay on the TPJ Honda coming out of Alaska. So Ben was riding for the Ty Lube Honda team in the Arena Cross Series last year. Now doesn't have a national number any longer. Probably rode the B-seeded practice, number 907. I think that Ben could show good results. He's a big guy. He can use his body as his long stature through the whoops and really take every advantage that he can of that.
If you're a guy like Ben LeMay and you're from Alaska, I mean, that in itself, I mean, I realize he's here now, he's training here, that kind of thing, in the 48 continental states, but if you're from Alaska, you don't expect a professional motocross, supercross rider to come from Alaska.
No, and, I remember stories of Ben coming down and living in a motorhome behind the Troy Lee warehouse many years ago in the 2000s. And I mean, that was the story. Ben practically lived out of a motorhome his whole life. And now that he's a professional racer, obviously not the story. But I mean, you want to talk about a family that truly, rolled the dice and went all in on Ben becoming a supercross racer. It's been a long, tumultuous road for him to end up here, and it wouldn't surprise me, if he's doing the 450 races or the 450 class this side, and then 250 class on the East Coast. And he obviously, I think that if you take into consideration that Jeremy Martin's doing the same thing, Jeremy Martin the 11th seed, Ben LeMay the 13th seed, they were neck and neck, and both of those are qualified in better than Josh Grant, Chad Reed, Brock Tickle, Tyler Bowers, all guys that are highly touted in this 450 main. So yeah, LeMay and Webb are obviously the top two guys that are coming over from the East Coast Series. So whenever they go, should LeMay go east and race the 250 class, I think he's got a lot of confidence going. But then on the other hand, if he's already here in the main in the 450 class, why not just stay and continue racing the 450 class?
Where you're at. What about Cooper Webb? Obviously, 12th gate pick for the main event tonight. One of those riders, when he came out of the 250 class and moved up to the 450 class, he, I think, was hyped up to be a front runner and just didn't quite live up to the expectations. He had moments here and there, but he just didn't quite have it. Could this be his season?
I think, like Barcia, he did not gel with that Yamaha 450 of yesteryear. Now that they have the new model, the new setup, I think that things are going to be going better for them. Both Yamaha riders, factory Yamaha riders. Cooper should do a better job this year. Last year, it shows Cooper got 10th place, and he's qualified into the main in 12th. So no real change in performance so far from last year at this race. Now, however, that's not to say that he can't improve on that.
Sure.
And he's an extremely aggressive, very talented rider and could very well easily end up in the top 5 whenever they throw the checkers.
That's very true. As it looks like we're heading back, getting set to go here for a 450 main event. Maybe not.
Yeah, still
psyched us out.
Yep, we're still doing that Ken Roczen replay, and you know, I'm a Ken Roczen fan, but this is a hell of a storyline, I guess, for a lot of companies that back him and they've invested in him, and everybody loves an underdog story, and Ken is a very well liked rider. I just I hope that we can kind of move past the whole arm surgery montage within the next couple weeks.
Well, and that could very well be the case, especially depending on how tonight's main event goes for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope that I don't. Let me ask you this: Do you have like a guy that you're like, I want this person to win above the others?
I honestly don't. I don't have one particular guy that I necessarily want to win, and I also don't have a guy that I would say I expect to win. I think kind of like you said multiple times tonight, I think there's too many riders in the 450 line, and even the 250 lineup, but especially the 450 lineup, that are just too good to count out and to ignore the fact that they could be up there to win a race. And it seems to me like Anaheim 1 every year always has something. It's always some sort of weird twist and that kind of thing. And sometimes Anaheim 1, this could be Justin Brayton's night. It's been a long time since we've seen him ride the way he rode in the heat races, and who knows, it would be dumb for me not to say that he could be a winner tonight.
Absolutely. And okay, so I just did a quick little run through right here. So our top 6 qualifiers were Roczen, Tomac, Barcia, Anderson, Musquin, Seeley, and Brayton. Now, Roczen raced into 6th, Tomac 3rd, Barcia 2nd, Anderson 1st. So Anderson would probably be the most improved. Musquin, who qualified 5th, has raced into 8th, and Seeley qualified 6th. Brayton, pretty big improvement, qualified 7th and has moved into 4th. So just going off of the stats, I'm not sure that there's one guy that we can pick as the favorite. Personally, if I had to pick one guy and say, hey, I want him to win, probably be Jason Anderson, because I'm a fan of his riding style. I like the loose, flowy movement that he does. I like that he runs the jersey untucked. I just like Jason's general vibe over how he rides the motorcycle in a way that we don't really see out of any of the other riders. Part of that is also because he's 6'1". Part of it is just his personality really shines through. And I mean, the guy has a cool personality, and I think that it shows through. And hopefully he can stay cool with that first seed gate pick and continue to have a good successful season here. So coming up on the schedule here, we have Houston, then Anaheim. So the next race in Anaheim is going to be a Triple Crown race. So that will be one of the races that features the 3 main format, similar to the Monster Energy Cup format.
Looks like we're getting set to go now for our 450 main event. And something that some guys are forgetting about Jason Anderson, with all the excitement last year between Tomac and Dungey in Vegas, Anderson was the winner of the final Supercross race last year in Vegas.
Yeah, he was, and he's obviously brought that momentum into this year, along with last year he was in fourth. So I mean, he does well here at Anaheim, and he's won this race before in the 450 class. So yeah, I'd say look for Anderson to get a good start. He's good at starts. Barsha with a solid start. Go ahead, Mike.
Look at how close Baggett is to the gate compared to everyone else lined up on the gate right now. Did you see how close Baggett actually was to the starting gate?
No. Hopefully we can get a pan out of him and so I can see that. No,
obviously, with the board is up, we got 25 seconds before that board goes sideways. But Baggett right up on top of that starting gate. Everybody else a little bit further back. Talking about even the techniques with the expanded metal starting gate and that kind of thing. Getting set to go here. Of course, Anderson, Barsha, Tomac, Brayton, Baggett, Roxon, Seeley, Muscan, Freeze, and Pike. Your top 10 there is Ken Roxon, perhaps the most talked about rider heading into this one, shaking the jitters out here in this one. The number 94 HRC Honda rider. Board goes sideways, looking for the gate to drop. Anaheim, number 1, and we are off and running. Into the first turn they go. We'll see who grabs that whole shot. Into the first turn, it's going to be the number 3, Eli Tomac. Tomac with the whole shot. Here in this one, he's got Justin Barsha right there beside him, along with Martin in the number 3 spot.
Yeah, this is, as you can see, the guys are really packing up in there together. And looks like Anderson slips back to about 6th. Muscan passes him. And that, I'm telling you, these jumps are deceivingly slick.
Well, it looks like right now Ken Roxon buried in the back of the pack here in this one. So Eli Tomac out front leading the way. Justin Barsha in the number 2 spot. Martin in the 3 spot as they work their way around. Eli Tomac already with a couple bike links on Barsha here on lap number 1. And a Weston Pike, the number 34 JGR Suzuki rider, up into the number 4 spot. Already trying to make a move up into the top 3 for Pike. One rider we did not talk about, and Weston Pike is on a move here in this one.
Yeah, Pike's been a long-time JGR rider, and he's a really good Suzuki guy also. As his privateer, his time as a privateer rider was on Suzuki, so I think he's really meshed with this bike, and I wouldn't be surprised for him to continue these top 3 runs.
So not the start right now that Marvin Muscan or obviously Ken Roxon, or we've got several other riders back there in the back as well. We're hoping to get here in Anaheim. Number 1, there's Blake Baggett, another one that we thought might be up front to start this one. So rough start for these riders, as it's going to be Tomac out front, Barsha, Pike, Muscan, and Martin now your top 5.
Yeah, that first corner and second corner really provide quite the log jam, and a lot of the riders did get together and bang off of each other, and that's why we've got some of these front runners further back. And like the Shane McElrath said, the track is tight and it is simple, so you have to get creative and be very technique oriented to nail all of your marks, all of your lines.
Well, Ken Roxon right now working his way by Bowers. He's trying to get by Brayton now as they come down the start stretch. Back around into the rhythm section. There you see Cooper Webb just ahead of him now. Roxon now has worked his way by Justin Brayton with 17 minutes, 50 seconds left to go. Still a lot of racing left here in Anaheim 1 for our 450 main event. He's got his teammate Cole Seeley just ahead of him, and a whole pack of riders right there along with Cooper Webb. And it looks like Martin. So now Roxon has worked his way up into, I believe that's going to be the number 8 spot. As here they come through the website. Look at Roxon diving up the inside on Webb.
Yeah, Roxon obviously shows a little bit of flash right there, and then that inside worked out for him. I'm surprised more guys aren't taking that line consistently after the finish line jump.
So Roxon right now up to the number 8 spot as he chases down his teammate Cole Seeley in that number 7 spot. Eli Tomac out to a 2.3 second lead, and here you see Marvin Muscan on that Red Bull KTM chasing down Weston Pike on the number 34. Similar lines through the rhythm section there as they work their way back around. Jason Anderson in the number 5 spot. Tomac out front, but his lead not stretching out quite as quickly as maybe I had expected it to, as he's only 2.4 seconds ahead of Barsha.
Well, a lot of Tomac should go to credit. We really didn't even mention his name whenever we were trying to pick a favorite or a heavy hitter. Tomac's obviously a very capable rider of winning every race that he lines up for, but he has shown some inconsistency, so it's no surprise that he may not necessarily get the credit, but I'd say that his performance and good start has led him to the front.
Well, and as you mentioned, Weston Pike looking super comfortable right now on the Suzuki machine, but here comes Marvin Muscan up the inside. Pike moves over just a bit. Muscan now up into the number 3 spot.
Yeah, Muscan really showed a lot of confidence whenever he wheelied down the backside of that double-double that claimed Dean Wilson earlier. That's a very technique-oriented spot on the track, and it takes a lot of confidence to maneuver the bike the way that needs to be in order to get a drive off of that second double.
And look at Ken Roczen now. He's gotten by Seeley, and he's going by Martin now. Roczen has worked his way back past the two Honda riders. So Roczen on a move here in this one, and he's looking to flow just a little bit more than I thought he looked in the heat races and, of course, press day as well, as the number 94 Ken Roczen working his way around, and he's up into the number 6 spot now. He's got his eyes set on Jason Anderson in that number 5 spot.
I really like that Fox gear that he's wearing. I'm really into the all white with just a splash of color on the left hand, which would definitely be a Roczen limited edition. It makes sense how they put the color on his left arm there, to kind of a acknowledgement of his struggle.
And a good battle right now between Anderson and Pike. Anderson working his way up to the number 4 spot now as Pike drops back into the number 5 spot. So Anderson on that Rockstar. Husqvarna in the number 4, closing the gap, trying to close the gap up on Marvin Muscan in the number 3 spot. Back onto the rhythm section on the right-hand side they go. Same line right there as they work their way into the big triple section. We'll see as they come into the whoop. Oh, they didn't show the whoop section. I was going to say, a little mistake back there for Cooper Webb. And now it looks like Cole Seeley has gotten back by Ken Roczen now. So Seeley has worked his way back by Roczen. We'll see what happens here, and this is where it happened. Whoa, Roczen. Wow. What a save right there for Ken Roczen. And that was the section, I believe. Was that the same section that got Dean Wilson?
Yes, it was. That's obviously proven to be a very treacherous spot. Here it is right here. See, the guys have to come up and over and almost lean the bike to catch backside of that first double. But the issue is it sets the bike to unload sideways off of that in the valley between those two. And it's, the dirt is slippery down in there. And I like the way that Marvin was wheeling in, catching back wheel on the backside there and really boosting out of that double.
Well, that could have been absolutely disastrous for Ken Roczen as he triples back through, trying to close the gap back up on his Honda teammate right now of Cole Seeley. Seeley in the number 5 spot, Roczen in that number 6 spot. And meanwhile, Tomac out to a 4.8 second lead on Justin Barcia in the number 2 spot.
Yeah, and these guys are racing, they're racing for points here. I mean, the money is not necessarily back here in these spots, the 4th, 5th, 6th places, but championship points are valuable, and they're back here, and Tomac's gone down.
Tomac going down. We'll see if we can get a replay as to what happened to Tomac. That's the rhythm section just after the start. Now, Justin Barcia on that Monster Energy Yamaha, the temporary rider for the factory Yamaha team, is now leading the way in this one. Wow, what a turn of events.
And it's exactly things like that why we don't talk about Tomac as being the favorite coming into races, because he has these weird choke artist moments where he just makes a bad mistake. And it's unfortunate because he's such a talented rider, but he just does these things that don't quite make sense. Like he has, like a hiccup in his brain and just can't get the job done from start to finish.
Well, for Justin Barcia, a rider right now that came into this season, and there you see Tomac and Pike. Pike gets by Tomac, and Tomac's got to be a little shaken up. It looks to me like the bike is a bit bent up as well.
Oh, yeah, that right-hand side is very twisted up, and it looks like he's going to call it a night, or I can't really quite tell.
He was favoring that left arm, it looked like.
Yeah, but you can tell that the right side of that bike is very twisted up. What's he got going on there?
His pants are undone.
I don't think I ever would have pulled off to readjust my pants.
His pants are undone. Jeff Crutcher,
That's the first time thing that I've ever seen right there.
Jeff, I don't even know what to say. I'm at a loss for words as Eli Tomac's pants are
Well, leaving both you and I a little speechless there. I can't believe the amount of time that he spent sitting there trying to refasten his pants. I mean, look, okay, here's the replay of what happened.
Okay.
Same exact thing that happened to Benny Bloss. He miscalculated the amount of, look, his pants are falling down there. He miscalculated the amount of traction there. And in Benny's case, where he was trying to triple in or got extra traction, the opposite thing happened for Eli there. And he lost the rear wheel and it really cost them going into that section. These guys have to make sure that they're pushing down on the outside peg, because that section, if you lose your confidence if you lose your technique for 1 second on a track like this where the soil is wet and tacky yet slick in some spots, it's those some spots where the soil will jump up and bite you, and it's almost like the 23rd rider on the track.
I would totally agree. It'll bite your pants too. Justin Barcia out front leading the way. Meanwhile, Marvin Musquin has closed that gap up 1.2 seconds. Separate our leaders right now as Jason Anderson's worked his way into third, Weston Pike to fourth, and now Ken Roxon is up into the number 5 spot with 10 minutes, 45 seconds. There you see Tomac rolling through that rhythm section. I'm done. Wow, I don't even know what to say about that.
Yeah, that's definitely a first-time thing.
Musquin to the inside now on Barcia. Marvin Musquin takes over the lead now. Into the whoop section they go. Barcia, though, coming up that inside. Barcia's not going to be able to make the finish line. That's going to cost him. Barcia, I thought, was going to try and set him up to the inside on the whoop section, but when you take that inside line, I've yet to see a rider dive up the inside and still get the grunt out of that corner to make the finish line.
Okay, let's see if Bam Bam can kind of hold on and hold his composure here, because after he's known to make a mistake and then kind of, ragdoll it and try to come back. That section right there where those guys are jumping out onto the starting straight is getting treacherous, because the main line is pushing left, and so are the tough blocks, and the track crew hasn't reset those tough blocks inside, and it's letting them go outside and catch the edge of the dozer tracks on that left side, launching them out into the starting straight.
Well, and just as you said that, the rear end of Barcia, as he came jumping out onto the start straight, seemed to be a little wild, and here comes Jason Anderson. Now, Anderson, obviously one of your picks to be up front here in this one, as they're coming up on Intignap for some lap traffic coming around right now. Marvin Musquin with a 2.2 second lead, Barcia in second, Anderson in third, Pike and Roxon still your top 5 here in this one.
Yeah, between first and fifth is less than 10 seconds, and anything can happen in that small amount of time. One of these guys just barely takes a tumble. It looks like Tomac's going to retire for the night, and quite frankly, that's probably the end of his championship hopes right there. It's very hard to come back from a 0-point deficit going into the second round.
It has been done.
It has been done, but the odds of it happening,
it's going to be tough.
Right, yeah, with such amount of talent. Man, this is a really cool race. I'm glad to see that we've got Musquin, Barcia, Anderson, Pike, Roxon. This is a different popcorn lineup than you would expect last year or 2 years ago. We're starting to see this next wave, this next generation of racers come in, and we're really going to see this year who will set the tone to be the next Dungey, to be the next Carmichael or Stuart Villapoto. Yeah, those guys that have been McGrath, even that have been dominant for so long. It seems like our sport has been ruled by so few hierarchies of these kings of the sport, and here we are with Marvin Musquin leading the way, and as the French rider coming into America, and it looks like he could be the next one, but again, it's early to say. It's the first round of the series.
Well, and here they come back through that rhythm section once again. We saw Justin Barcia. Oh, look at Anderson. Anderson crossing over right there. Anderson right now, I think he's got the speed to get by Barcia right now. He's looking for the best way, and he's playing it patient. Ooh, just about bumping wheels. They're going to go side by side into the whoop section now. Barcia knows he's there. Barcia, oh, look at Anderson. Anderson tries to show him a wheel. Anderson goes for the finish line even halfway from that inside line as they work their way back around into this tricky rhythm section. Coming back around into the whoop section. Now Anderson will take the inside line, try and set up Barcia. He's not going to be close enough to put a wheel in on him that time. And back into this section, we saw catch Dean Wilson earlier and Roxon as well.
Yeah, Jason's going to have the inside here, and I think that Barcia was probably getting tired of being dogged like that. I mean, the thing is, if you play dirty tactics long enough, it's going to come back and bite you, and Bam Bam's not afraid to come back in and square you up and take you out. So Anderson needs to be careful when again, poking the bear, playing with fire. You mess with the bull, you're going to get the horns, and luckily he got away from Barcia, who would be the proverbial bull in this. And look here, Roxon's visor has come off. He's one of those riders that's wearing the new Fox helmet with that magnetic visor. visor, and that's 2 Fox helmets without visors on them that we've seen. And I'm sure that it's a great product. I wonder if Roczen, slammed his head on the bars or what's going on here.
That's what I was getting ready to ask, was perhaps Roczen maybe had another mishap as he had through this section right here earlier on. As they work their way, Roczen with the inside on Pike. Look at that, Roczen showing him a wheel, pushing him wide. Ken Roczen now up into the number 4 spot here in this one. He's looking for a podium finish with 6 minutes and 15 seconds left in this one before that white flag comes out.
Yeah, Weston Pike is not one to tolerate that kind of riding. It's just that Roczen's a world-class rider and has more skill than Pike has, and he's going to squirt away from Weston and relieve himself of any counter payback that could come.
Well, right now Roczen is going to be 5 seconds out of a podium spot as Barsha holding on to that in the number 3 spot. Meanwhile, on the right side of your screen, you see Marvin Muscan, your leader, out front, 4.3 second lead over Jason Anderson, the number 2 spot.
That's right. We've got Muscan, Anderson, Barsha, Roczen, Pike, Seeley, Brayton, Martin, Baggett, and Tickle rounding out the top 10, followed by Grant, Webb, Freeze, Bowers, Reed, LeMay, Cunningham, Ray, Tedder, Bachellia, Enignap, and Tomac, who has retired from the race.
Well, you're talking about Chad Reed. Here's Chad Reed looking at him right here. Obviously, he's got that foot injury. He's on that new CR22 Husqvarna. But like you mentioned, his goal was to get to Anaheim. He made it there. His next goal was to make it the main. He made it there. He's sitting 15th right now. Obviously, I think we can expect way more as the season goes on from Chad Reed. But this for him is somewhat of a win for the circumstances given, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you can see, whenever he's going through the corners and some of these sections, that he is favoring his feet. Now, the thing is, if it's his left foot that's hurt, then whenever he's riding, he's putting a lot of pressure on that right foot, so it will wear out the right side of his body faster, and that overcompensation factor will really start to play a toll on his entire body, because whenever you start overworking one side, the other side that isn't being worked, the one side that is being worked will fatigue much faster and put him in a situation like this. And frankly, it kind of throws off your balance, your equilibrium. You lose a little bit of your technique. And you're not able to ride to full Chad Reed capacity.
Well, that's is it the left or the right foot? I'm not actually sure which foot it is that he is favoring at this point. But like you say, you can even tell just from his riding style right now, he's out there basically, I would say, on Chad Reed cruise control, which is 10 times faster than most people would ever go. But now we're looking here at Martin and Baggett battling out as Baggett works his way by. There's Tickle in the mix as well. Whoa, Brock Tickle grabbing a turbo boost there, heading through that rhythm section, up and over the triple now. Tickle gets by Baggett as he sets his sights on the number 6 of Martin, with Brayton right there ahead of him as well.
Yeah, this is a good showing for Martin on that Geico Honda. I mean, he comes over from the 250 team, or as a 250 rider, riding with the Geico livery on the 450. This is a good race for him. It's a good start. See, now Alex has a head start on every other rider except for Ben LeMay if he's riding the 250 class in the East Coast. This is a great opportunity for him to shake out those off-season cobwebs and jitters and get some good race action. And frankly, he's going to collect himself a few $10,000 here in this race.
Well, one thing that a lot of people don't realize or don't remember with Brock Tickle, you can't count him out as he is a former 250 Supercross champion.
Yeah, absolutely. Brock's an extremely talented rider, and he has had an oddly paved route to where he's at now with the RCH team and being more or less like a semi-race star, who the kind of guy that would win a semi and then be, rank and file. I expect a lot more out of Tickle as we move into the, early and mid stages of the series.
Well, also, we saw some lap traffic getting in that mix there between Tickle and Baggett. With 2 minutes, 30 seconds left to go, Marvin Muscan with a 2.5 second lead. Barsha still in third. Roczen still in fourth, and Weston Pike in the number 5 spot. It's Seeley, Brayton, Martin, Tickle, and Baggett rounding out your top 10. There's your leader as he's working his way around. Right now, that is Red Bull KTM star player, the number 25 of Marvin Muscan.
I could watch Marvin ride on this track practically endlessly, because like many of the French riders that have come over from the other side of the pond, they make so much of the racing look so simple, given technique or just flow. As Jean-Michel Bayle did, or Christophe Pourcel, Eric Sorby. A lot of these riders that come over from France that compete in Supercross, they just adapt to it so well, and they really can make things happen that the other riders just can't quite seem to have. And I think that's part of their the French demeanor is just being so smooth and controlled and calculated. I mean, watching there, Musquin just hopped through those whoops 3 at a time, 4 at a time, and then Anderson bulldozes his way through, skimming across the tops. Both are equally fast, but one is obviously working for Musquin.
Something you pointed out about Anderson earlier, his jersey, it's almost untucked, but is yet to come fully Anderson untucked here in this race.
Yeah, we should definitely pay close attention to that jersey and stay on top of that.
That key point to this race right
Absolutely.
now. Anderson will always ride better when his jersey is untucked. It's a proven fact. He is going to be 2.6 seconds back from Marvin Musquin. Justin Barcia in the number 3 spot. Roczen in that 4 spot. Roczen's going to be 4.8 seconds back right now. Here comes Marvin Musquin as he works his way back around. There you see Anderson. 40 seconds left, but I tell you what, that last time around, Marvin Musquin with a 53.8, Anderson with a 54.2. It looked to me like Anderson gained a little bit of time, but apparently not, as they work their way back around to the finish line right now. Barcia in the number 3 spot. This is going to be next time around. They should throw the white flag, as they've only got 20 seconds left to go on the clock, and they've just passed the line. Your leader out front, Marvin Musquin. And, of course, he's got Ryan Dungey in the pits, cheering him on, coaching him a bit. And I guess you could say he's looking to fill the shoes left behind from Ryan Dungey.
And that's a big shoe to fill, as Dungey was so dominant for so long, one of the favorite riders of our sport, and to put that on Musquin, I think is a little preemptive. To just put him in a good team on a good bike and say, hey, we know that you can win. Go out and win. They're not asking him to be the next Ryan Dungey. They just want him to win for the brand, and it looks like he's going to be able to do that here tonight, save any last lap mistakes, which I don't expect.
1 lap left to go now for Marvin Musquin here in Anaheim 1, the 2018 Monster Energy Supercross Series kicking off, and Marvin Musquin could be looking at a win. This would be his first win here at Anaheim. Anderson in that number 2 spot still, Barcia in 3rd, and of course Ken Roczen in the number 4 spot. Everybody seems to be pretty set in their place with 1 lap left to go, aside from, as you said, something catastrophic happening for these riders, which is unfortunately entirely possible. Here they come back into the that rhythm section. This is where Bloss and Tomac both went down. Obviously a weird night for Eli Tomac, who was out front leading this one before got the pants ripped off of him.
That step on, step off right there was looking a little treacherous. There's quite the pop out of that, and I'm surprised nobody went down. That's really smart how Marvin's jumping through those rollers like that.
Well, here he comes. Checkered flag is out. Marvin Musquin, your winner. Anaheim 1 here for the 2018 Monster Energy Supercross Series. Jason Anderson coming around for that number 2 spot, and the 51 of Justin Barcia will take that final spot on the podium. The 94 of Ken Roczen rounding out your top 4, and Weston Pike a top 5 finish to start out the season here in this one. Jeff, I would say this has been a pretty successful start to what I would expect to be one of the most exciting Supercross seasons we have ahead of us. I
think that this is going to be a great season. There's going to be a lot of storyline going in between each race, of there being someone new that's, okay, I think this is Marvin's, obviously, yeah, this is Marvin's first time winning A1. Now, he's going to go into the next race with a lot of weight on his shoulders, of having all of that pressure of, I won, Anaheim won. Now I'm expected to win the remainder of the races. Now I think that he can deal with that pretty well. We just saw Ken Roczen there speaking with his mechanic, and I think that Kenny, he's just probably happy to be there. Look at that, Marvin's patting the KTM. He's happy to be on the top of the box on that orange KTM. So getting back to Roczen, I think Kenny's got to be happy with the way that he performed tonight. 4th place is, what would be a career-ending injury to probably anybody else, Kenny has turned around and put himself within the top 5 on his first race back. That is an excellent ride for him. Excellent ride for Marvin. Also, his training partner, Jason Anderson. I mean, these guys are obviously putting the work in. It's working very well for them. And Justin Barcia on the temporary Yamaha factory ride.
Well, a fantastic ride for all these guys. What a fantastic way to start it out, Jeff. I think that's going to do it for our OTP Podcast Race Companion. We want to thank all of you for tuning in and watching us here. And don't forget, we will be back for another Race Companion from the Monster Energy Supercross Series. I think that's going to do it.
Yeah, so I want to note on our way out that this episode of the Over the Bars podcast and all episodes of the Over the Bars podcast are brought to you by our Patreon subscribers. If you would like to be one, go to patreon.com/overthebars. This episode is also going to be archived into the iTunes and Stitcher archive along with the rest of all of our OTP episodes. So if you want to listen to this during the week, just go back and you'll be able to listen to the races. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate all the shares, the likes, the comments, all the love. It's been a really fun deal. I can't wait to continue doing this the rest of the season. So we'll see you next weekend right here on Over the Bars.
OTB, 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 OTB.